Thank you for watching and listening to The Paper Dungeon. We have joining us today the host, Grant DeFore, aka Philo Grant on Twitch as Edward, the Trap King Drew McKellips as Cather, the cool one Lydia Corin, who is on Twitch and TikTok as Renaya, the smart one Aaron Klebrad, aka Vanderbull on Twitch as Abinthy, and the absent one DJ McKellips, who is the DM and also missing. Here's the filing cabinet.
Thank you, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? How are you guys feeling?
Doing great out there today, Grant.
Doing pretty
Happy
good.
to be here. Happy to be here.
I'm doing
Yeah.
good.
It's a pleasure.
And how about you? Oh, fantastic. That is great to hear. I'm also doing great today on this amazing night. Give it up, chat. Welcome, everybody, to today's filing cabinet. We'll be going over 2022 and, of course, all of the exciting things in 2023. As I said, I am the host today, Grant, who plays Edward on The Paper Dungeon. And we're going to be getting into some pretty exciting things today, so you definitely want to stick around. I want to start with thanking the Patreoneers, the people who've been subscribed, people who have sent any donations, fan mail, whatever else. You guys have made this show possible. You've given us the motivation to keep trucking through 2022 and previous years. So thank you, everybody, for that. Real quick, a spoiler warning. We will be talking about the campaign and the characters up through episode 15 of chapter 2. So if you haven't watched all of chapter 1 and you'd like to avoid any potential spoilers, probably shouldn't listen to this. Otherwise, if you don't really care all that much or you're caught up, it's going to be a great time. So stick in there. And if you're not familiar with the filing cabinet, it is our quote-unquote professional talk show, which is what I like to call it. It's where we talk about the show, we answer audience questions, we talk about the behind the scenes a bit, and we talk a bit about our personal lives. So we'll be getting into all of that today. First, though, not to chat your ear off, but first I want to go over an overview of 2022, because it's easy to lose sight of all the stuff we've done in like a whole year. Think about it, it was like forever ago that the beginning of 2022 happened.
365 years, or days, something like that.
Yeah, 365 years. It feels like that, doesn't
Well,
it?
maybe for the elders beings known as Aaron and Lydia, but for us normal people, Grant and I,
I just live life a quarter mile at a time.
Yeah,
Time's inescapable, and that's wrong.
Drew, did you move in 2022, or have you been in the same spot? I can't recall.
Yes, I did move twice technically.
So everybody here has moved in 2022. We all moved locations that we live. I think DJ did too. I might as well mention that DJ's also not here tonight. So yeah, he's our DM. He's not here tonight. He is absent, but that's okay. He just couldn't make it. I think he recently flew back to Idaho or something.
Yeah,
so.
he's currently like climbing a mountain or something. So.
Ah, gross!
Okay.
What a loser.
That's pretty darn cool. And all of us are here. I'm just kidding. We love it here. So let me go over the things we did in 2022. It'll take a little bit, so I'm just gonna rattle it off because it's a lot of fun. And honestly, when I was looking back at all this stuff, I was pretty surprised. So first of all, it was a lot of growth for TPD, especially through TikTok, thanks to Lydia, especially, in shorts, and things like that. I don't have any numbers or anything, but from the beginning of the year, I believe like January, I remember because I was in Louisville at the time. I'm pretty sure like January was when we really started to see our first like sustainable, exciting growth, I think, because we're still small, but we were very small at that point, so that's really cool. So the first stream last year was the filing cabinet, but then after that was episode 53 of the main campaign, which was a long time ago. It was episode 53 of chapter 1. It was Fate's Gambit. It was the name. It was the one where, spoilers, where Renaya hurts Cather, and then there's a funeral, and Cather comes back. It's
like
a big
mega
thing.
Hurts.
Like
Yeah.
kinda unalives a little
Like
bit.
the most hurt that you can hurt a person.
Like
Yeah.
the maximum hurt it
And
gets.
it was to end. It was to end the curse, but like that does not quite feel.
I mean,
like
yeah,
a year
no.
ago. It also feels like a year ago.
Aw.
However,
You know what I mean?
however, it did also lead to some of the cutest moments between Kath and Renaya, along with
It's true.
just some of the most brutal.
Adorable,
Gross,
just like
boo. We like brutal.
pain and
Cute is
Boo?
bad.
Yeah,
More brutality.
we like cute, Aaron. The total rebrand dropped on the first main campaign episode of last year, and that was a whole thing, especially for Lydia. But like there was new art, a new stream overlay. We had a new main theme, like with art and everything that Renaya or Lydia animated. Table scraps also got a whole overhaul, so like the stream looked different. And thumbnails, we had different pictures for thumbnails and everything, which was a big deal. We finished chapter 1, sorry, with episode 70. Then we aired a pre-produced side series called Cam Cryptid, which was DM'd by Lydia. I think you had DM'd once before on TPD.
I DM'd the Valentine's Day one shot before.
Which was
that
also a lot of
the
fun.
only other time.
Good old
That was
lovey
the only other
dovey.
time. So Lydia goes from like this one Valentine's Day one shot, which was fantastic, to DMing an entire like pre-recorded, edited side series, which is a lot of fun. We'll talk about that more later. We had some banger one shots for chapter 2, which I just have to shout out. I wasn't in a couple of these and I haven't seen them, but a few of these I know are just bangers. The Festival of Feats with Dumpstat Podcast.
That was a good time.
Yeah, Dumpstat was great on that one. Lydia made an overlay for that one too. Lydia made an overlay for many of these, which they were one shots.
She is our main artist.
We have not used them again. But Lydia had made overlays for these to make them extra special. Fan Fire, which was the Western one shot DM'd by
yeah.
Aaron that you and me, Lydia, were in. That one was so
bad.
much fun.
I
It was
love
so
that
good.
one.
So
All right,
bad.
Tale of Marsh Wake, DM'd by Drew, which I was not in, so I can't recall. Do you remember anything, Drew? About
Oh, I mean,
Tale of Marsh
yeah, I
Wake?
could. Yeah, it's so we had in that one. It was Aaron, Lydia, and DJ. I think it was the three of you guys, getting caught in a strange.
Yeah, that's when we get twilighted, right?
Yeah,
Was it a marsh?
you after heading to a swamp to stop some corruption, you get put in some strange time loop.
I punched things. I remember that very well. I punched so
That's
many
good.
things.
That's really good, actually. I'm really happy you did that. And then the next one, End of an Age, was DM'd by Aaron. I also wasn't in
Yep.
that one.
That one was the
Banger?
the send off of my old campaign that you were a part of.
Mm-hmm.
What?
That one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
I
Lydia and I.
finished-
Wait, was that the one with was that a Table Scraps campaign or was
No.
No.
Oh, it
back
wasn't.
before we had started the Paper Dungeon, my homeworld where you played
my gosh, with the
Q,
cities,
was
the
it?
six
Yeah,
six
the six
cities. I love
cities.
that character.
And that was my
What?
send off to that old campaign. I wrapped
I
up a
didn't
bunch of
even
loose
know.
ends and finished
Aw.
things off. I don't know if I would call it
Well,
a
that's
banger
good.
because it wasn't necessarily for the viewers. It was a personal catharsis.
It was a banger.
It
Thank
was
you.
I
was
mean,
a
it
banger.
was like
The storytelling was genius.
very, very,
Oh,
very well done. I'm a little
feel
biased since I
nostalgic.
knew the context of the campaign, but
I'm
Yeah.
unbiased as I was not involved in the campaign at all,
Yeah,
and
it
the
was,
storytelling was immaculate.
I believe it was just Drew and Lydia
Mhm.
as players for that one.
Yeah.
And you
I'm
two
getting,
did a
like,
very good job.
nostalgia. That's really
Yeah, I had a
nice,
lot of fun
actually.
DMing it. It was nice to wrap that up and kind of put
Did
a bow on
anyone?
it.
Did any characters die? Or is that-
Everyone did.
Okay, cool. So watch that.
The whole world died actually.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, full
The
apocalypse.
next one, Oops All Orcs, aka episode
Oh,
70.5,
that was
DM'd
amazing.
by Aaron.
Oh,
That was
man.
so good.
That was
If you
I'm-
haven't watched that one, you watch it. It's technically a canonical episode. It's like slipped after episode 70 of chapter 1. So it's between chapter 1 and chapter 2. It is worth watching.
Yeah, it's going on during the battle that the players didn't get to see. It's all of the
Right.
orcs fighting against the undead and everything like that.
So good.
As
That was a
three
lot of
orcs
fun.
attempt to make a name for themselves on the battlefield.
That was a ton of fun.
One shots conceptually feel like they're just kind of filler, like how an anime has filler. Like, oh, we'll just do a one shot. But like, looking back at the titles, they're kind of fire. Like, we kind of go hard at our one shots, and it's hard to remember. But those were fun. There is a playlist of one shots too, if you ever want to look at those on the YouTube. Then Lydia moves to our hometown, where all the boys come from. Chapter 2 launched. Oh yeah. Well, by the way, we did take a U-Haul for like 26 hours, so I feel like that's or 24.
It is
It's like worth
Patreon
mentioning.
content.
It is on Patreon. Yeah. Lydia took some videos and like spliced them together for a fun little compilation. So you can find that on Patreon. But that was a crazy trip. It was the three of us in the front of a U-Haul, a big U-Haul, all the way from South Carolina to Nebraska.
I almost hit like 2 cars. It was great. It was a great time.
It was pretty crazy, especially like in the city or like through construction, taking that ginormous thing.
Goodness.
And it really took gas too. It took gas.
Oh, yeah.
I cried less than I thought I would.
That is true.
Thank goodness, because I don't deal well with people crying next to me.
Have you cried as much since than you expected?
Oh, I've cried a lot more than I've expected.
I'm sorry.
Good times.
Don't have the laugh track.
How many of those do you have, Grant?
At
Just
least
those 3.
2.
I have more, but we'll get to it. Then chapter 2 launched with the new intro, which was fun, using DJ's voice. It was okay. The better one is later with Aaron's voice. It was just mostly, the audio quality.
Putting it out there.
Oh my
God.
Live on
You
air.
threw him under the bus, and you were like, "Yeah." Then we released with that intro. That was pretty good. I'm not
Look,
gonna lie.
we're gonna actually we're going to get it so it sounds better. For future
Grant just cast vicious mockery in real life.
And
And
he's
he's not even
DJ's
here.
not here.
I
not
know.
even here.
This is to be
Can't
fair, this is the
defend
safest
himself.
time to roast DJ.
Maybe it's also arguably the worst time, like ethically.
Yes.
No,
it is.
it's the safest time.
I also have a few more things here. The website was updated thanks to Lydia. Honestly, I was like, oh, we're gonna update the website, and then one day Lydia's like, it's updated. It's like,
Oh, hey.
okay.
Also,
And I think we got a
DJ,
few more merch items.
everyone say hello to DJ in the chat.
Oh, DJ's in chat.
Hi, DJ.
Hello from Ernie Ice Climbing
He can
Festival.
hear us. He knows.
He does know.
Summoned
We summoned
him.
him.
We did. Welcome, DJ, to our professional talk show.
Also, it's Ure. Sorry.
Ooh-ray.
Ure Ice Cream Festival.
Ooh-ray. Then we had. Oh yeah. Did we get some? We had like some small additional merch items, right? If I remember, like there's a tie dye thing.
Yeah.
There's like, gosh, I can't remember.
Well, we updated
it's really
the
cool.
logo, and so the logo got put on new stuff.
Right, the new logo. Yeah, that's a thing on our website. Then we had Between the Rows season 3, which was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good. Every season is very different.
I can be better.
That's every time though. Well, it's funny because going back and listening to the first season, it's just not the same. Like it felt like it was so good when we were doing it, but it's the whole thing of going back and listening to the old stuff. I think it's charming, right? But it's just like every year, it's like we could do better next time, which I think.
Look, if I can, right now, I've gotten to the point where I've got the first 75% of it clutch solid. Now I just need to work on the finish. If I can make a full 100% as good as the first 75% of season 3, whew, it's gonna be a banger.
Stick the landing.
Oh yeah.
Then we started doing more Patreon posts. There's a small series on there called Autumn and Death. That is Catherine Melora in the clutches of Prozius. And that happened like 2 years ago or something.
Long ago.
Like a long time ago.
That was back around like episodes like 10 through 15.
20.
So
They
20
were taken on
episode 20 is when we fought Prozius
yeah.
got captured. So it's like 20 through
10 was
25. I think it's between.
Melusina,
Yeah.
20 was Prozius.
Oh gosh, and then Blixen.
And then we had a pirate arc.
And then
We
the
had a
pirate
pirate
arc.
in there.
We don't talk about the pirate arc.
Well, the pirate arc is
Except for the island.
after episode 30.
The uninhabitable one.
Yeah.
Yes, the tiny uninhabited
one.
island.
Yes. And Yeah, so that's on Patreon. It's 4 episodes, and you can find that on Patreon. And then we ended the year with The Plains of Ilavar, Chapter 2, Episode 15, which was like recent, because it was the end of last year. And then secretly, the last episode was actually Aaron's Table Talks, called Short Stream. that was the last piece of TPD
the last
content.
stream that we had of the year. I
Titled
snuck
Short
that in
Stream.
there, stole that title.
Stole the glory. Yeah. And so since then, I can't remember what episode we're on now, but we've done one
we just
more.
did
episode
like
16.
15,
We've done
well,
one.
we did like 15.5, didn't we? Because it was the in-between episode.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
we
know what?
just
didn't.
did-
I didn't
yeah,
write
we
that
just
down.
did
Technically, that's not in
15.5.
2022. Technically, it's not in
Oh
2022.
yeah, it's
So it's in the
2022.
weird,
That's fair.
like it's in the like apocrypha of TPD.
That's a good
of
word.
current-
I don't know if that
Thank you.
fits.
I
but
don't even know what that word is.
It's like the middle bit between now and the last year, which is like a few weeks.
I see.
So that was 2022. Pretty exciting year. I think we did
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot. I feel like we did a lot more than I felt we did.
I think we even probably did more personally than you listed.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like
our
this is just
personal
TPD
lives.
stuff in our own lives. Like we've been doing a lot.
Yeah.
Like I
played some
theoretically
Apex.
graduated college.
Do you still not
Theoretically.
know if that's a for sure?
I haven't gotten a diploma. I
Well,
don't know.
You probably won't get an actual physical diploma for.
I haven't gotten any
a little
emails. I haven't seen anything.
Oh, fingers crossed. Theoretically, you're qualified.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would assume they would tell you if you failed.
Oh,
Well, moving on from Aaron's qualifications, which are important, we're going to move on to some questions regarding 2022. These are mostly regarding the main campaign, as you'd imagine. Everybody in chat who is probably here to listen to us talk about our characters. We're gonna do that now. Yeah, I know. It's exciting, isn't it? It's exciting. Thank you. Also, hey, the Anchor Danky and Hans and Lydia and DJ, who's all in chat. Welcome in today. So the first question is for everybody. And it's kind of a easy freebie question. You can pick anything, theoretically. What was your favorite piece of TPD in 2022? This could be an episode. This could be something your character did. This could be just TikTok in general. You know, this could be anything in mind that the TPD did. What was your favorite thing from 2022? I could go ahead. We could popcorn. We could do this
How
any way we'd
about
like.
the host selects? You know.
yeah. You
puts
give
us-
some
puts us on
I
the
pick
spot.
you.
Yeah.
All right, Drew. Since you said something,
Sure. Okay.
you go first.
that's
I choose
acceptable.
you, Drew.
Yeah. Favorite thing from 22. Honestly, like you listed everything off that we did. Like it was like, oh yeah, we did do that. Oh yeah, we did do that.
We did a lot, right?
That was the thing too. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh boy, I think personally speaking, one of my favorite things that like TPD did would have been the camp cryptids. Just because that was just a ton of fun, and I think it's definitely very different from our normal content that we do. You know, it's very surprisingly wholesome and cute and adorable. I shouldn't say it's surprisingly cute and
Surprisingly.
adorable. Like Lydia, like if you just look at Lydia, she's cute and adorable.
That's like the genre.
And wholesome.
But yeah, I mean,
Also
it's different
terrifying.
than most of the other kind of one shots or side series that we do normally. And it's definitely different than just the main campaign. I gotta play somebody who's just cute and adorable. So
And Jay,
And
could you do the
looking
bubble
cute.
thing, the blah 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 or whatever it was? Do you remember?
oh geez, bloop, bloop, bloop.
So okay, so here's a Camp Cryptid thing. This Christmas, for my grandma, we got her a print of NJ, and I had Drew sign it and write "Merry Christmas"
No.
on it for her, and that was her
No
Christmas
way.
That's
present.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I didn't know about
yeah,
this. That
yeah.
is
Lydia
awesome.
texted me in like I don't even know October or November or something. It's like, hey, can you do this thing for me? I'm like, dude, heck yeah. I have a number one fan out there. Let's go.
That's the first autograph of the Paper Dungeon.
That's right.
Is
That's
that-
not
like,
that's not
It
true.
is.
Ooh,
That's not
wait,
true.
what?
Oh,
Remember, we all signed
oh
one
well,
book.
yes, we did sign the book. That's right.
Oh my god, I forgot about
Didn't
that.
Braden, like somebody we know named Braden?
Yeah.
No, not saying last name. somebody named Braden got it, right? Or am I wrong?
I think they want a T-shirt.
Oh, they want a T-shirt. So who knows where the book is now? That's worth a lot. That's the only book like that.
I'm pretty
That has
sure
our signatures.
DJ has it.
Is it
Somewhere
not
on there.
anywhere? Maybe we should raffle
We
this.
burned it.
We don't know what happened to it.
The first
But we
known,
did
It's
it.
lost to
the
time.
first knowing location of a signature is owned by Lydia's grandma.
Yeah, maybe one day we'll do something fun like signed posters or something.
One day.
Like
I'm
like
just
if we're
saying,
at a
if we
if we're
can
at a
get,
con or something, we can get a bunch of posters and.
I mean, I've talked with Lydia about it. Posters for the Between the Rows, I've just buy them for myself because that's incredible. Lydia's already done some. I'll follow up if that's all right with
Absolutely.
my favorite thing.
Absolutely.
It's not exactly one specific thing, but it's across the whole year. I was really proud of table scraps because that really took off this past year. That's like consistency wise, and we cover such a broad range of like what exactly we do on table scraps. From we started off playing like mini campaigns into a talk show thing, into we did art, we did little like joke things, we played mini games, and it's been, other than the like I think 2 times out of the year, there it is.
Drew found the book. Show it one more time, Drew, real quick. Not to cut you off, Aaron.
No, you're good. There it is.
There
There's
it
the
is.
sign.
This could be yours one day
Dinner
if you're watching
Fesh.
and listening. It could be yours someday if we do something with
One
it.
day. It's years in the future.
Table Talks was also like outperforming our main campaign.
There
like,
were a
live.
couple of weeks
There were times where it was
where
like,
we would have like consistently like 17 people watching
people love
table
it.
scraps. The days of yore. But yeah, like we covered a lot of topics. I think we only missed like 3 weeks out of the whole year, and like 2 of them were because I was unavoidably sick, and one of them was like because we were driving Lydia to a place or something like that.
Yeah, that
We were
seems
like
a
driving
valuable
across the
reason.
country. So I'm really proud of that, and shout out to all the people. There's some people that I see more on table scraps than in the actual show. So shout out to them. I
Yeah,
see a
there's like
couple of them in chat
regulars
now. Yeah,
for Table Scraps
They're showing up.
specifically, which is
Yeah.
pretty fun. It's funny because you talk about the previous episode, right?
Yeah.
So like,
I
but
start
there are
off
people
with
that
that
just
and-
enjoy it, and it's not just you, of course. Like there are others that are regulars. More recently, I think it's been a little spottier, but like especially Lydia and Drew and
Yeah, Drew's been
DJ.
on
I
there.
haven't
a
been there
lot.
in a long time.
Lydia,
but-
before she moved here and had to like work and stuff,
Yeah,
was
do
there
life.
pretty much all the time. And then DJ's probably my 3rd most likely to show up. And then I don't think I've ever had you there other than to play in the mini campaigns really early on.
I used to show up early on, and we had a grand old time. But recently, I haven't.
Well, I hope to see you back
I'll have
one
to do
day.
that more. Yeah, yeah. Get more people in it because they come and see me there.
It's easier to bounce around and stuff. So last but not least,
Lydia,
Hi.
what was your favorite piece of TPD in 2022?
I think my favorite was also simultaneously my least favorite was the rebrand.
Oh yeah,
I remember, I think my favorite part about it was you and I, Grant, when we were just like, let's do it. Let's totally like rebrand and redo everything.
we were
And
on a call and we were
yeah.
like not saying it, but we both wanted to do it. And then
We
I
both
think
wanted
you
it.
mentioned doing it, and then I was like, that's exactly what I want to do.
I like mentioned the logo and you were like, that's all I've wanted.
That's all I
And then
wanted.
we got DJ on a call and we're like, DJ, hear me out. Redo everything. And then like it was really, really exciting and it was really, really fun, but it was definitely a lot of work.
oh yeah,
And took a lot of time. But I think that is like my highlight from the year.
And you did really, really well. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah, it looks
it's funny.
great.
It's a little ironic because currently our current setup doesn't entirely reflect the rebrand because this is the
Yeah,
like
this is
yeah.
old
This is
style,
old
but,
stuff.
but on our actual show and stuff, it looks amazing. And it still does. It still holds up.
Oh yeah.
That was a lot of fun, and we had new character art, which is so hype for us and people who watch the show.
Hey Grant.
Well,
You
Yeah.
also have a turn here, I think. What was your favorite
Oh
thing that we did over
shoot! Oh
2022?
gosh, I forget that I have to answer questions. My favorite piece of 2022. Honestly, I gotta shout out the Discord. I haven't I'm not always the one that's on the Discord, but there was a special period of time, and it still happens from time to time. But there's a special pocket of time in 2022 when there were every week there was maybe 8 people in the VC just hanging out watching the show. There were people. I mean, people still say good morning every day. People are talking about D&D. People talk about the stream, maybe ask questions from time to time. So it's really happening there. But I've really enjoyed seeing the community gather and then make friends with one another through the Discord. It's something that I remember, especially talking with Aaron, but all of us cared about, especially early on. We thought that was something that might never happen. Who would be present and consistent enough to have that be a part of the show experience, and to have it's just really cool. It's really cool
And
to see.
what's really funny too is that the TPD Discord has created another D&D group Discord server that I go and I listen in on their games and
That's awesome.
am an audience member for their games kind of deal because I just enjoy listening to their stories and things like that.
And this was that was one of the goals too, is to inspire people, make connections so that they can have their own games and stuff.
Find themselves some games.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm gonna move it along here. Next one is for everybody but Aaron. You can make this as lengthy or as not lengthy as you want, and there's a reason it's not but you. We'll get to that next. But how has your character changed since the beginning of 2022?
Oh, that's an easy question.
Yeah, that's why it's not yours. We started when Fate's Gambit was beginning to known as Fate's Gambit. So that's when it started, when oh my gosh, it's Fate's Gambit, and we're the thing that we had to do the thing to win. That was a long time ago. So it's yeah.
We had to do the thing to win the thing.
Yeah. How has your character changed since then? That's the question. I'm gonna pick you, Drew. You're going first again.
Oh, I'm going first again.
How has Cather changed? And there will be more later to also flesh out similar things about the break and stuff. So even just in tone, I mean, whatever you'd like to say about it.
He became more depressed.
Is that right?
No.
More so than he was?
Oh yeah. Don't you remember early Cather? He was resolute.
Yeah.
Now he's
Dude.
sad.
He's just a sad boy.
Yeah. In a more serious note, I mean, he certainly changed a lot since the very beginning of the campaign. But since they started to become known as Fate's Gambit, it's been a decent roller coaster for Cather, because when they first became Fate's Gambit, he felt honestly very proud, kind of just of himself and of his party. Very proud of how far they'd all come together. And what they were, accomplishing, and the fact that they were accomplishing things enough so that people would rely on them. And then after, not too long after, they started to become known as Fate's Gambit, and the battle for Athala concluded with the death of Tarak. And just a really not great, interaction with Cather and his gods.
Who could have seen that one coming?
Just put him in a weird spot for a long time, and then over the break, it kind of just got worse. Over the 3-year time skip, just kind of got worse, and so now we're here where he's trying to rebuild himself and to be a bit more of what he was I'd say at Fate's Gambit's high point, but also still changed to be continue to be something better.
Yeah, and we've seen glimpses of him beginning to believe in himself again, or at least thinking that it's possible, right? I think when he first arrived, after the break, he was
oh no, he was
I'm
in shambles.
never going to.
Oh, he was
this
he
is
was
never
a
going
total
to
mess.
be fixed.
Yeah.
So I think he's doing a little better now. I'm so
Yeah.
happy for him.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Little trap king.
Yeah, definitely doing way better than when we first saw him, with the beginning of the chapter. Yeah,
I'm happy for him.
He's
Wish I could
getting
give
there.
him a big ol' hug.
Yeah, and I'm real excited for actually the next maybe 5 or so episodes, because I think there could be a lot of potential
Oh,
progress and
absolutely.
growth for our boy Cather.
For sure. And Lydia, for Renaya, because I think Renaya's probably changed immensely. I mean, there's a lot, even in her position, her title has changed a lot. Since the beginning of 2023, what's different now? What's different about Renaya now?
Oh, I think Renaya's gotten a lot more focused. Before she was kind of wandering a lot, didn't she was very aimless. But I think she, especially over the 3-year gap, gained a lot of focus. I think she's gotten scarier, and I think she's even gotten a little cold. Um, I think overall she's mostly just matured a lot. She still has a lot that needs some loving, but I think there is a lot she has grown in, and then I think there is a lot that she has almost overgrown, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. I mean, she was like, she had grown up before, but it feels like now she's like more her own person, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, she's a freaking demon prince now, right?
She is
Like
a
that's,
demon
that's
prince
a whole
now.
thing.
Honestly,
and that wasn't a thing before.
She is a demon prince now.
in a
She's got some
way,
authority.
if I may interject, it feels like now Renaya is her own person, recognizing the fact that she's been being forced to not necessarily be her own person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good job. That was really good. That was really good. And for me, for moi, about Edward, I think at the beginning of 2023, Edward was still, I think he was beginning to believe that perhaps he was meant to be where he was. Maybe, just maybe, he has what it takes to be a member of Fate's Gambit and do what has to be done. I think he also had a bit of doomsday in him where he was like, this isn't going to work. I'm going to lose everything. It's not going to be great. You know, he was still very worried, very unsure of himself. And that wasn't easy for him. And since then, you know, Athala happened. He's grieved Tarak a bit. And now he's found himself in a position of like authority. I think he began to feel more fit for what he was doing. He began to think that he was in fact like qualified for what he had to do, which is a big change from the beginning of the year. He now believes that he is the one maybe that has to do what he does. It's interesting with the recent events, because I think Edward still feels out of place with Fate's Gambit. But I think now he has much more resolve and maybe focus and a little bit less like flightiness. I guess he's more grounded. So I think that's good. I think he's also like grieving and stuff, which is really hard for him. So he's also like quieter and maybe a little more sad, you know. He was sad before too, but you know. So we love that guy. Feel bad for him, but he's also doing the best out there. Yeah. talking about sad. Aaron,
I died.
your character died. Your character actually was sunsetted. None of us really knew.
And it's all your fault.
It is not.
It's a little
Kinda
bit.
is.
Edward died.
saying.
To catch
Look,
everybody up,
look.
Edward died. Tarak saved his life by offering himself.
And
So,
just
yeah, I
saying,
guess it is kind of
there's
Edward's
several
fault.
things in that fight that all of us could have maybe done a little more efficiently.
I performed perfectly.
I did
So-
great. I don't know what
so-
you're
Yeah,
talking
Lydia and
about.
I
I-
crushed
Penny,
it.
Okay, well,
I
I
almost
messed up a
didn't
lot, so
die.
I'll take the blame for Edward's death and therefore Tarak's death.
No, you can blame
You're
Edward.
sounding an awful lot like Cather right now.
I mean, where do you think Cather gets that from?
So Tarak
Fair
died.
enough.
And
Yep.
that was unfortunate. However, it was also Tarak's choice. So I have kind of a dual question here. One, what was it like sunsetting Tarak? Because none of us really knew who was going to die. We had a suspicion that maybe one of us would. We didn't know though. And so what was it like sunsetting Tarak? And what has it been like coming back with a new character?
Well, so in terms of Track dying, I kind of hoped that it was me, not because I didn't like Tarak, or I was like, I've loved all of your guys' characters so much that I was like, I can't let them die. But also just because I was probably the most interested in having a character die, regardless of who it was, and I would feel really bad if it was someone else, and I was like, yes. Um, because it's something that you don't see a lot in a lot of live play games. In terms of like story driven games that you can watch online, having a character die is really rare, and it especially doesn't happen towards the mid game, because in terms of storytelling, if you kill off one of the main characters at that time, like you're over halfway through. I guess it's really hard to pick up a story where you left off. And so I had kind of hoped that a character would die just because I think it would be a fun story thing. And for Tarak, at this point in time in the story, when he died, pretty much his entire story had been completed. He had accomplished all the things that he set out to accomplish. At that point on, he had no more twists, no more turns, didn't have a whole lot more to develop. He just would have been there to develop other characters. So, which is a good thing, but I like to have a bit more going on behind the scenes. So, am I sad that Track died? Absolutely. I love Track. He's definitely in the top like 3 characters I've ever made and ever played. But I think that it was an okay thing for him to go when he went. I think that it provided good. Um, I think that that was the most character development that he could achieve at that point in time, both for himself and for other people.
Yeah, and
And
even I may be speaking biased as Edward, but I think everybody can say like even with how Tarak shaped the party, how he influenced the people in the group, it in a strange way felt timely, like
well, yeah,
almost like Tarak did his job. And when
yeah.
he
I
had
don't know if
left,
there was really
you
another
know,
option for Tarak at that point in time.
yeah.
Like
And
Tarak
he
had
still
all the
to this day
flags coming
influences the
for
group.
him. Yeah, and this is honestly the best way that he can continue to help slash hurt in other characters' growth. Um, so I think I think it was a good thing for the story, bummer for the character. I'm sad that I didn't get to see him at level 20. I think that would have been
Yeah.
wild.
But now you get
Um,
to see
Dude,
Abinthy potentially
imagine
at 20.
Smite
And
Knight,
Abinthy is neat.
level 20
yeah,
Smite
rest in
Knight.
Smite Knight
peace.
level 20,
Rest
I
in
know.
peace, Smite Knight,
Rest in
you
peace,
know.
Smite Knight. Um,
But as for
but
bringing on
Abinthy,
Abinthy,
there's a new character, Abinthy.
yeah.
What has it been like starting off as Abinthy?
Well, it was tough. First off, I wanted to make sure when I made Abinthy, I tried to find things that I could put into his backstory that would connect with other players in some regard. So, I had him in a relationship with a fiend. So, at minimum, there was something that Renaya could go, "Oh, hey, I've seen something like that kind of before. I'm kind of into that." Um, I had one of his loved ones be a drow. So that was some way that he could connect with Cather, who knew about their people and their culture. And I had him work under uh, Edward and also kind of like, participate in some rather secretive, unsavory business on the side
Yeah,
alongside Edward.
you can see the secretive, unsavory business on Patreon. There's a
Yeah,
one shot there
nice plug,
with
Grant.
Abinthy and Edward. Just saying.
Oh yeah.
But you had a connection to everybody.
Well, yeah, and that was mainly just backup. I had no idea where exactly the story
Ammunition.
would go or anything with that, but I was like, at minimum, I'll have these things, and some of them connected in different ways that I never expected. I know probably one of the biggest connectors actually happened in a recent episode between Abinthy and Renaya when it came to Cather's gods kind of screwing over Abinthy in much the same way that they tried to get Renaya earlier in the campaign. And so that was a good connection between them. But it is certainly difficult since we're in the genre of storytelling that we are in like a D&D live play to introduce a new character that doesn't have the bonds that your old character did, and then try to like smesh them into like a ball that fits. It's certainly been a challenge, but I love
And
playing Abinthy, so
when
it works either way.
we're all so used to playing together with the characters we've played with for literally years, and so introducing in a new thing will always feel a little unnatural. But I guess that's a whole part of
Oh
a
yeah,
whole part of this thing. I mean, with anybody. So I
yeah.
think it's gone very well. I like Abinthy and where he's going. I think it's clear that Abinthy has a lot more to him, like both, I don't know, emotionally and historically, like in his
He's got a
past.
lot more secrets ready to be
Secrets.
revealed, and
And Track
connections.
didn't
I
really have many secrets, right?
The secrets that Chirac had were me setting up for the future.
Okay.
So there are secrets that Chirac set in place that Abinthy will be able to reveal potentially for probably the next like 3 or 4 months, depending on
Oh
what
boy.
happens. I've got some zingers set in place and ready to go.
Well, I'm
Um,
excited for that, and everybody, watch out for those
oh
zingers.
yeah,
But yeah, Abinthy so far has gone really well. I want to move ahead here. Rest in peace, Tarak. Welcome, Abinthy. But the next question is for Lydia. Camp Cryptid, now a classic of TPD, and we all assumed that that would be the case. I mean, come on, it's a summer camp for children of Camp Cryptids. Like, you can't really get a better prompt than that. And especially Lydia doing it. You did really, really well. Everybody loves it. References are still made, I feel like, every episode almost. That might be more than it is, but it feels that way. Um, so I have a couple questions here. What was it like taking on that project? Because you really just was like, I want this to happen,
I mean that
and
whole
I'm
system was
gonna.
made by Lydia.
Yeah.
Yeah, she made the RPG system. You did the art. You helped influence the music, and like kind of you were kind of oversaw the whole thing, all the happenings, and of course you wrote the stuff. So what was it like taking on that project? And do you think you learned anything from that experience? Do you think like afterwards you walked away with more than you had when you started, I guess?
Yeah, so with doing it, it was really fun. I was really, really nervous doing it. Um, Fun tidbit was I knew I wanted to do a mini series, but it was either going to be Camp Cryptid or it was going to be Hell High.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there was
I didn't
another
know about this
option.
either.
There was another option in my brain, but I ended up settling with Camp
Hell
Cryptid.
High.
What
Is
was
there a
it?
potential of Hell High in the future?
Maybe.
Okay, won't
I'm
say anything.
so in. This is way more up my alley.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. It was fun getting to collaborate with you guys cuz character making was different than it normally is. So I really enjoyed a lot of the creativity with that. Um I really loved uh the kind of mystery of it all. I liked how that unfolded with you guys. I loved all your guys' characters so much. Like the characters is what made it the classic it
Yeah,
is.
they were all excellent.
To
Like
review, there was DJ was Kid who
DJ
ran
was
around really
Kid,
fast and was like
who was the kid of
kind of
Goat
like
Man.
just like off the walls. Let's see.
Yeah.
Aaron was the really creepy,
I was Jack.
like just
The
the
like
worst kid.
tween
You-
that's barely
Yeah.
like
I
stands in
probably
the corner
should not be at
and is
this camp.
edgy. Yeah.
Yes. And then we had Drew as NJ, the adorable little Loch
The
Ness
golden
monster
boy.
baby.
Mm-hmm.
Just
a,
the
just
golden
a
boy,
baby.
the nicest,
Yep.
sweetest
Just a
little
literal
baby.
baby.
Yep.
It was the
100%.
cutest thing ever.
Clueless, not a single thought in that head. And then mine was a human pretending to be a cryptid,
Mhm.
whose mom was crazy, I guess. So
God.
that was a good time.
Top
yeah, the
10
characters were great.
worst moms.
And of
Your
course the
mom.
NPCs, which of course was Lydia's brainchild,
Yes,
which were
fantastically
amazing. All
done.
of the camp counselors were like cryptids, so that was
Mhm.
great too. Yeah,
Myth
Yeah.
the Mothman.
Myth Mothman was great. And so
Um,
you obviously you enjoyed it. Do you feel like you learned things from that experience? Because you walked in, I don't think. I mean, obviously you had done one shot before, so
mhm.
you oversaw the whole project. Do you think if you were to do a project again, you'd do anything different? Do you feel like you grew as a DM or anything through that experience? What do you got?
I think I learned a lot as um as a DM for a stream. Because I've DM'd outside of streaming quite a bit. But when it's come to streaming, again, I only had the Valentine's Day one shot, and there's a different dynamic and a different pressure to when it's on stream. So I learned a lot as far as that, because you have to keep the story moving. You don't have time to dawdle, but you want to make sure everybody gets like their fair share of everything. And it felt very directory. I felt like a director more than a DM.
Oh, interesting. That makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but like honestly, that's kind of where I thrive. That's what I did a lot of in high school. So it was really fun for me, but it definitely got to touch in on those skills a bit more.
Your director history coming in clutch. That's so cool.
So yeah, I think there was definitely a lot of growth as far as that, and then a lot of growth too in my confidence as far as
Ooh.
GMing for live streams.
I was going to mention, I wasn't going to sing you out or anything because we were all very nervous for the very first filing cabinet. I just had a flashback to when we were all sitting in that tiny apartment
Oh
with
yeah,
Hannah and Ryan were there. Everybody was there. We had like lights, a camera guy,
Mhm.
a whole setup, a microphone. It was crazy. A little set in that little apartment. We were all so nervous. I remember all of us were so nervous. Some maybe more than others. But
Cool as
like
a cucumber.
how cool as a cucumber as always. But all of us now, especially you, Lydia, I think really has become a cast member, if you know what I mean. I mean, I feel like we've all really settled in as our positions here, which is cool. And I think especially, I mean, when we started, when the show was a concept, we found you on TikTok. We were just talking about doing a stream. I mean, all of us were very nervous, but we had never ever done this before. So now to be at the point where you can just like make a banger 4-episode pre-recorded series that's going live, I think that's pretty cool. And I hope there's more of those. I hope to see more side series.
If you do Hell High, I already have my character.
Oh my
already know what I'm
gosh,
doing.
that took a total of 5 minutes.
You mentioned the
Um,
title and I had it.
Yeah, so very good. Good job. Camp Cryptid was a banger.
Well done,
We have
everybody.
another one under our belt. And it is a lot of work doing a side series.
Oh
So that
yeah.
it's a lot of work behind the scenes. So that went very well. The next question about 2022. We got a couple more here. The next one is for Drew, actually.
I know.
Cather. At the beginning of 2023, we already kind of touched on this. So it's okay if it's not like a super long-winded answer or anything. But Cather, at the beginning of 2023, was at the very least sort of the guide for Fate's Gambit.
You mean at the beginning of
Um,
22?
At the beginning of 2022, yes. He was kind of the guide of Fate's Gambit. Some would consider him the leader. Would Cather see himself as that role currently? And if he doesn't consider himself the leader of the group, who is it and why?
Ooh,
I like this question.
that's a very, very good question. Actually, I like this question a lot.
Please let it be that word. Please.
So
Stop that.
so back at the beginning of 2022, that was around the same time that was around the time that like Fate's Gambit was really becoming known. That's when they became very obviously very involved with the war for retaking Athala.
And he was the champion of Fate
Yeah,
at the time.
and yeah, he wasn't an Oathbreaker.
Ah, the days.
Yes, I would say he did see himself as the leader. Mostly because that just seemed to be kind of like the position he took within the part. Like at that time, everybody kind of looked to Cather for like, okay, hey, you're the soldier boy, and we're in the middle of a war. What do we
And
do?
From the beginning, he was going off visions that were coming true. I mean, when he met Melora before the party, even.
Sure,
I mean, that was
yeah.
it
Yeah,
was
I
all
mean-
kind of predestined.
Yeah, I
so it
mean,
makes sense.
even yeah, I mean, at the very beginning of the campaign, I mean, it was very different. I mean, because like we are still very much a group of 6 random people who barely got along, and so Cather was just content just to kind of sit in the background and just kind of do his own thing, and so, but yeah, when they lost Havel, they lost Melora, the group, the whole party themselves kind of of the four remaining ones very much unified at that point. They felt much more closely bonded, being through so much together. And yeah, like, and it just seemed that everyone kind of looked to him to kind of keep guiding them, and he was the one who was most willing to speak up, to be like, okay, this is what I think we should do, and this is why. And I mean, that's just kind of one, that's just because of a lot of his history as, a soldier, both from even when he was back as a drow, but even when he became a moon elf, that was kind of still something he did, just being a part of kind of the local guard a little bit. So it's something he's very accustomed and used to. It's actually kind of funny to think about though now, because at the time he would have been emulating Vyzen, his best friend, because he was actually the one who was a general when he was alive. And he was very much like he was Cather's. I mean, he was Cather's closest friend, but he was definitely like the leader type that he thought that every leader should be, and is also partially what led to his downfall more recently, and the lack of confidence that he now has, because in his eyes, Vyzen was perfect. And at least perfect at being a leader, I should say. He definitely knew, Vyzen wasn't always like a perfect person by any means. He didn't think that Vyzen could do no wrong, but he definitely felt like he was the perfect, example of what a leader should be and what a leader should do. And so when he couldn't live up to that in his own head, especially when he couldn't live up to that in his own head, and then the party kind of just split off and did their own thing, for mostly unrelated reasons, he just spent a lot of time by himself thinking about, okay, the party was counting on me and Havel died. The party was counting on me and Melora died. The gods were counting on me and Melora died. And then
Tarak, of course.
And then the party's counting on me, and now we almost lost everyone, and we barely made it out with only losing Tarak. It's just like, what am I even doing? And then, so yeah, it just kind of created this downward spiral for him. And so at this point, with the party reconvening, like, it's definitely helped for him a lot, with Renaya and Edward still being like, hey, look, we still believe in you. Look, like, we recognize there's been some things that have really not gone our way, but we still very much believe in you.
Look at this photograph.
Even if right, even if he doesn't quite fully believe in himself yet, at this point though, and Aaron, I find it amusing that you said it. He does think of Edward as being kind of the pseudo leader for Fate's Gambit.
The cheering.
Yes, applause for character growth.
I was so
okay,
hoping.
but why? Why?
Well, yes, I was just
honestly
gonna get to
didn't
that.
Expect that.
So, I mean, really, like, first of all, with them all coming back together, I mean, he is just so amazed at both the character growth from both Renaya and Edward. And, like, seeing how much the two of them have changed and developed in very good ways over these past 3 years is something Cather is very proud of, in fact. Especially for Edward, who very much wanted nothing to do with the party beforehand. And now he's been willing to take up kind of this responsibility in Athala and the responsibility with New Athala. And yeah, it's just like kind of this much more mature young man who's kind of taking up the reins of his name and making something new of it. And making something new of his city, that has made Cather view Edward in a very different way than just this young boy who is just, sitting in a corner crying for help.
And also the worst.
And just the worst. No.
To be fair, Cather's options are also pretty limited, because it's you either choose Edward or you choose the person who's on a vengeance murder quest to kill Satan.
Yeah.
Or
Renaya
Avanthy,
is very
who's an absolute
solo
lunatic.
focused right now.
Oh yeah,
So-
and I was actually going to talk about that a little bit. Part of the reason that in a way, he honestly does view Renaya as a better candidate to be the leader than himself still even. Because of how much she has matured and grown, and just more or less her willingness to pursue her own thing, right? Not like, because like before she was just kind of in this limbo state.
Mhm.
And so just seeing, even if it's not something that's like, even if it's something super potentially dangerous for the whole world, even if it's dangerous for her, the rest of the party, like, going at, a personal vengeance quest to go after the king of demons, that's not like the smartest thing to do, or but it's also like,
What you gonna do, you know?
yeah, like
Exactly.
she doesn't really have a choice, and she's not backing down. Like, she's not backing down and cowering or just accepting it. She's like, no, I don't like this, I'm going to change it, which is something that both him and Tarak for so long were trying to push for her, be like, hey, you can be your own person, you can make your own decisions, which again in his head is like, okay, if she was in a bit more of a state of wanting to take on that position of being a leader, he would totally accept it.
Well, I have a thought that kind of leads into a question for Drew with Cather
Oh,
on
boy.
like this topic. So, I think a big like push in Cather being the leader was maturity level as far as the party. I think Tarak was definitely second in command, but was also second in command because he had a lot of maturity and wisdom. But he was also, how old was Tarak again?
Or
He had 4 years of life, so it was like limited. Like he had a
Yeah.
lot of wisdom for his age, but it was still limited. Whereas Cather had lived literally a life before. And then Renaya, who's a really young elf and has had to look to other people making decisions for her whole life. You've got Edward, who hadn't had to deal with responsibilities before. So I think there was a big call for Cather to step up because he was the most mature. He was the most capable of making sound decisions and making those moral judgments. Do you think that now, with chapter 2, seeing Renaya and Edward not needing that kind of guidance, do you think that's played a role in Cather's confidence as the leader?
Oh, like confident, like in like his
Like we're
lack of
going
confidence.
psycho and like analysis here.
Has it affected him in a negative or a positive way?
Well, I know you said he's proud of it, but do you think it could have also played a they don't need me anymore kind of role?
Uh, yeah, yeah, definitely. I would say, like, it is,
Which isn't true. They love you. They love Catherine
oh
so
yeah,
much.
100%.
Like,
They need
It
you.
is, well, okay, so
That is a
it
great
is this
point,
interesting thing, right? Like, he is very, very proud to see how much they've come, and how far they've how much they've grown into being kind of their own people and really standing on what they believe in, and fight for it. Um, but it is kind of that double edged sword. It's like, it's just like, oh hey, here's this person who relied on me very much so, who doesn't need to rely on me anymore, and I might need to now rely on them. Like, it's this thing of like, okay, like,
that's
yeah,
what he built his like value on.
yeah,
Was
yeah, 100%. Like, Cather very much views himself through a lens of how helpful am I on a day-to-day basis. If I'm not very helpful, then I'm doing something wrong, even if he's not inherently doing anything wrong. And so yeah, it is this kind of very much this strange place for him to be in. It's like, okay, now what is my position in the party? Am I still this, this kind of big brother, mentor, leader person? Like, what is my position? Where should I speak up? Where should I not speak up now? And it has been kind of weird because, so spoilers for the very most recent episode. And this is something I don't even know if I've talked to really anyone about. So a bit of context, right? Got some parties looking for information about the planes of the Ilnaval, or whatever it is.
Oh yeah, the plains of
Illivar.
Ilnaval.
Illivar.
Illivar?
Somewhere like that.
Yeah, something like that. Trying to find information. At the same time, we're trying to get information about this person called Talanasha, which is deeply connected to Abinthy, and a lot of tensions rise because of kind of viewpoints that have now developed between different members of the party. And it is very interesting because like there was a moment where Cather, like honestly, like fully 100% thought, is it better for me to maybe go leave and like go catch up with like Kiamora and Melora and help them with what they're doing than for me to be with Fate's Gambit right now. Not because I don't want to help Fate's Gambit, but because it feels like it would be a better place for me to be in. Now that's at this point I can fairly solidly say that's not going to happen. Because of how that episode ended. That was at about the halfway point. But yeah, it is this interesting thing of like Cather's very much just kind of in a funny way. He's more or less swapped places with Edward and Renaya. And now
they're guiding him.
Well, he's now kind of in this state of limbo of like, okay, what's my position in the party? What should I, what kind of things should I be working towards to develop for myself? My position with the party, all those things.
And now he's on a journey to find himself.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, I was gonna say it's a. Yeah, thank you. It's a kind of interesting development in the terms of if Edward continues to grow as de facto like playmaker leader of party, and Cather ends up almost sliding into that like position that Tarak held of this is a person who's pretty solid to go to when I'm just completely off the rails. Then your job switches to don't let Abinthy be a horrible influence to everyone else. because that's pretty much what it is, where like you have these people who have grown and developed, and then an absolute raving lunatic who's just there to be like, we're doing stuff. Ah! And everyone's like, whoa.
Yeah,
which
the party
I love.
Composition is definitely different, but it works. I think it works. And we're figuring it out.
So steady.
Yeah.
So I'm moving it along here. I have one last question, and it's possible that this is like information that nobody has, and that makes me excited.
Ooh.
I'll just go ahead and ask it here. The time skip of 3 years that took place between Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 was an important time for every character. We've already touched on a lot of the stuff that has happened. Was there anything specific during the time skip that caused the most change in your character? And was it difficult to perform that change as that character when you came back at the start of Chapter 2? I'm most excited to hear about Renaya's time skip, because I think there's a lot of stuff that went on that hasn't really been explored. But we're going to go ahead and start. We're all going to say our stuff, and then I want to hear Renaya's stuff, because I feel like there's a lot of Renaya stuff. But I'll go ahead and start here. For Edward, he was pretty much instantly thrown into leadership in Athala. Which he honestly, I think, performed with flying colors. He was really the only one people thought would be fit for the role. Nobody else really wanted to. Who wants to try to rebuild a city? That sounds pretty terrible.
Place of power that gets you a lot of money. Terrible.
Oh gosh. And also, he helped oversee the orcs being officially like stated as like citizens of Akhlaran, and getting their own land and all of the legal hullabaloo around that. And so he had befriended the orcs and also oversaw Athala and helped with New Athala, which is the refugee camps that are now calling themselves as New Athala. So he had a lot on his plate, and in the meantime, he kind of ignored a lot of the pain that came with his experience with Fate's Gambit, and that was kind of, he was preoccupied with that. And Tiala happened. He fell in love with Tiala, and then she moved away, and then pushed Tiala away. So that was also very formative. But pretty much through the whole thing, it was Edward finding confidence and capability in himself, believing in himself, doing things that he had maybe previously been taught how to do but never done, And so being thrown into Fate's Gambit again, Edward is a completely different character because now he has to. He would not survive in his position without his responsibility, without his resolve, without his decision making, without his values. And so now he is more steadfast in keeping his values, in having an opinion, and in doing the right thing, doing the thing that he thinks ought to happen, and in saying no to the things he thinks shouldn't happen. And being less whiny too. He doesn't really whine anymore all that much. So I think primarily, obviously, taking care of Othala is probably the biggest thing. And also there was some behind the scenes stuff that is secretive. You can figure that out on Patreon. There's some behind the scenes stuff. His other job that the party doesn't even really know about. Some people in this call don't even really know about it.
It was even teased a little bit in the last episode.
It's been teased a couple times, but his other job also refined a lot of his skills in like fighting, for example. And so that was also very formative. But that was Edward, and it was difficult coming back because this is the second part of the question. Was it difficult to be that character when he came back? It was difficult coming back and not being the previous Edward because Edward is very reactive in nature. He would react to things emotionally. He'd say things he might not want to say. He'd do things that might be hurtful. And so coming back as this Edward, he is far less reactive. He thinks before he acts. He feels things, but he actually hides it. He doesn't allow himself to feel things. He acts instead. So it's a completely different way to interact with the people in the party and interact with what's happening around him. So it's tough to get into the groove of things, but after a while, I figured out that Edward also has a lot of his old self. Like he's still goofy from time to time. He still loves like the members of the party, and he's still affected by his past and all that stuff. So I kind of learned that there wasn't that much that changed about Edward. Just how he handles things changed. So yeah, I guess that was Edward's change. But let's move on to let's talk about maybe Aaron, if you'd like to say anything.
I mean,
because I know you had a change as Abinthy. Was there anything in particular? I don't know.
Well,
leading
in terms
up
of
to
what
chapter
happened
2?
over the time skip, I got to build a house, which is my favorite
did.
thing to do in anything ever. Now, did it influence the character? Not at all. Because my character was a completely new one, so there wasn't anything to influence. And I've already talked about how it was different switching between from Tarak to Abinthy, but I mentioned it a bit briefly. Abinthy also in my like top 3 characters I've ever played, just because like it fits all of the things that I love to do as Tarak and completely bypasses all of the things that it was like, Tarak has to like be nice. This is the worst. I get to be like the worst person, which is my favorite thing to be most of the time. Yes, that's me. That's Aaron. Pretty bad guy. I specifically getting to like say things to characters that are basically like me casting vicious mockery without any magic. Are like my favorite things to do, to just find little things to wheel in there.
It's
but then also being very
Aaron
regretful.
inserting himself into the game.
Oh yeah, that's me. This is Abinthy is my self-insert. I'm just a bad person who wishes that they could cast magic.
And so it sounds like instead of it being, I'm sure it was a challenging change, especially with like the characters being new. But it sounds almost more like you got to do the things that you've kind of wished you could.
I get
do
to
as Tarak,
romance DJ. Like
you get to romance DJ. That's true.
Which is some of my favorite
what
role
else
playing.
would anyone want to do?
I mean, yeah, it's some of my favorite role playing that I've gotten to do over the past like 2 years that we've been playing this game, 3 years.
I love how long this laugh track is.
It's too long.
The relationship between Glossier and Tripwitz is one of my favorite relationships that I've gotten to play. So that's one of my favorite changes, that Tarak was not engaged in any romance or attraction to anything or anyone. Like he was very distant in that regard, and Tripwitz is very much not that way. So I get to play in a new type of way that I haven't gotten to before. So that's really fun for me.
Cool. Moving on to Cather. You had already mentioned your friend
Vyzen.
I thought it was, but then I thought to myself, that's the name of another TTRPG.
No, well,
And
that's
so then I was like,
Vicen.
it can't be Vice. Oh, okay.
Vicen.
Bison.
Oh,
Or
Verizon
Vizen.
was the joke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the joke is
Verizon.
Verizon.
The cell service. Yeah.
Yeah.
That service dropped a long time ago.
Which, by the
We
way,
got
when I came up with the
Tiala
name,
was T-Mobile.
I came up with the name Vizen well before the campaign started. So,
Way before Verizon even existed.
so
Technically-
don't at me about the Vicen RPG, please.
Absolutely.
I
So
think
other than
Verizon was before.
Well, I know, but
Other
yeah,
than
I did, but I didn't
Vizen.
know anything about it because that was before we played it.
other than Vizen, and or including Vizen, whatever, was there anything that we're not very aware of that happened during the time skip that Cather experienced? I mean, for example, his sword is like broken. What's up with that? Like, what, you talk to the gods or something?
Yeah, I mean, there's
What's going on with your gods, man?
there's,
going
there's
on
a
with
few,
your
there's a
gods?
few
What's going on,
things.
man?
There's a few things that
What is
happened
there?
that haven't really been talked about a whole lot, like in detail. Just kind of a general overview of what happened. So pretty much immediately after the battle for Athala, Cather stuck around for like 2 weeks in Athala to help Edward just kind of get his bearings where he was, make sure that, you know, any immediate help that he would need, he could get it from Cather. And then he just left to go catch up with the rest of the Moon Elves, going back to Rivaluna to continue the war, basically. And he did that over the next 6 months or so. Well, actually, no. I'm sorry. I'm losing track. So, went back home, continued to battle like the undead. That was only for a couple months. I'm sorry. Immediately following that was a 6-month period of skirmishes between the Moon Elves and the Drow, actually, because most of the Aaron. Because most of the Moon Elf forces had gone south to help with Athala, that left a lot of Rivaluna vulnerable. So then a lot of uprisings actually occurred with the Drow. And so there was a lot of cleanup that Cather did with that. And towards the end of that actually was the first time that some interesting stuff happened with Cather and his abilities as a paladin. Basically, in one of the final battles, he attempted to use some of his divine magic to do a smite, and it didn't work.
Yeah, 30% of men. That's just gonna happen.
That's
Yeah, you know, hey,
Gosh,
it's just
that's
every
so
now and again it
awkward.
happens.
Performance issues.
Yeah, you know.
I'm not even gonna laugh track.
So and really, that's when a sizable amount of doubt kind of started creep in the back of his head about his
and
just
then he
his
starts thinking,
resolve.
did I peak in Fate's Gambit?
Did I peak? Have I peaked? Did I peak in high school,
Is it all
guys?
downhill from now? Is my long jump record going to be broken?
So I mean, and it kind of was an interesting roller coaster for him because kind of sprinkled in there were a few different times that he actually met up with Atrasil, because she was giving some advice and some help about the anathema, and eventually that kind of developed into what it is now of the kind of
She's
the
hot.
courtship between the two of them.
She was like, "Dang, he thick."
Cather was like, "Oh,
Have
you're
you
a
seen his
god?"
traps?
Oh my god,
I-
I am a god.
I
That's
do
wild.
find it amusing because like while we were on break, DJ texted me. He's like, hey, how would you feel about like Cather and Atrasil getting together? Because like, not gonna lie, she totally has a crush on you. I'm like, ooh.
Oh
Ooh.
snap!
And you, well,
I
first
wish I
off,
had. I wish I had an audience going. Ooh.
Can I
Don't, though.
can I ask my own question to Cather?
Absolutely.
Just
Actually,
yes or no?
in fact, while you do that, I'm going to use the restroom. So
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
seriously.
Cather.
Okay, yeah,
This is a really easy question for Cather.
Uh-huh.
If you were to, in a word, say who wears the pants in the relationship, who is it? Because Cather doesn't seem like a bottom,
I
but
hate this.
at the same time, I wouldn't say that Atrasil's not a bottom at all. Atrasil, I would normally say Atrasil wears the pants in the relationship. Do they both have a leg in? Like, what's going on here?
Okay, so as much as
What
I
is?
hate,
I want to know
so
about this.
I hate this question. I want that to be known. I hate this question.
I don't care.
I will say, I will say, Yggdrasil has been very much the one kind of help guiding Cather through these past several years.
Yeah, I can see that.
I will say once Cather kind of refines himself and becomes confident in himself again, that will likely change.
So did she ask Cather out, or did Cather ask her out?
She asked him.
Yeah. Okay. That answers my
Okay,
question.
there
Thank
we
you very
go.
much,
Yeah.
Drew,
Thank you for your time.
for responding to my question.
you.
That's what I need as captain of the dock.
Of the ships.
I needed to know. So,
Anyway, about halfway through the time skip was when Cather broke his oath. Which was I mean shoot, that was tough for him. That was really a low point for him. So he hasn't really talked about it in game a lot, but at this point if you were to ask him, he would probably talk about it at least a little bit. But basically he was traveling around a lot at that time and was told to go to this village that he was going to be that he was going to be traveling near, so he took a minor detour to go there, and asked to give a peaceful death to this young girl.
Oh, that's rough.
Oh God.
Yeah, it was rough.
What the heck?
A shout out to Cather's gods being just the worst.
Well, I guess it makes
Okay.
sense. So
Wow.
context: his gods are the gods of like death and
Yeah.
fate. So it makes sense.
They weave
Kill this child.
they
That's
weave
so dark.
yeah they weave this
In
tapestry.
anime, they don't
of-
even
of
do
fate.
that.
What are you talking about? They do that all the time in
You haven't
animes.
watched Graves and Fireflies,
I'm
bro.
I'm sorry.
That'll
I'm
make
sorry.
you
Hey,
weep.
whoa! I said it off the cuff. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah. Take him down.
Chill. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Anyway, um,
You
Big
boo
anime stands
yourself.
out here today.
So is the audience. It's the chat. I can see it happening. actually.
so he goes, he does it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Oh no.
Icky.
Oh,
that's
everybody's
that's
angry.
a red
Oh
flag.
gosh.
Yeah, 100%. That's non-marriageable material.
I'm
The
gonna
moment
start
you
a
kill,
mob.
you
I'm
kill
gonna
a kid,
tell
that's
Yggdrasil.
I'm just kidding. It wasn't
100%.
I mean,
Cather's
she
idea.
knows. So.
I'm just.
He
Um,
knows.
You know, wait
knows.
for her to stick
And I
with
know she
this mess.
with this mess of a man.
Where am I?
But it was-
It's just out here like, I can fix him.
Bit of a man.
but it was after, like, pretty much directly after that he decided to talk with Adaria and the rest of the gods of fate and just politely step away.
Like a
And
sabbatical.
well, yeah, take a
Kinda,
a semi-permanent sabbatical. Sure,
Yeah.
we'll go with that.
Extended leave of absence.
And in that process, that was when he actually gave back the book of parables.
Wow.
He gave that back to Adaria with his added story. And then that was also the same time that his mask was cracked and his sword was broken. And so then the rest of that, and that was kind of halfway through. So then the rest of the time was mostly focused on trying to hunt down any sort of leads about the anathema, and also beginning to look into
kind of on his own.
Well, on his own. There's a little bit of help from Leshka, a little bit of help from Yggdrasil, but then also kind of that last year also starting to look into the Fae and how they became more active.
And then he ends up in Sigil.
And then he ended up in Sigil because he got invited
Sword
to
is
go
all weird.
to Zario's palace.
And then you got jebaited.
Debated.
Yeah,
And then
so
we had to save you.
And so then he escaped the Fae through a random rift that took him to
Great idea.
it's like the plane between. It's like it's
Limbo?
right next to the Nine Hells.
Dark matter.
But I
The
forget.
abyss, limbo.
No. Other side.
Limbo.
Anyway, one of the dark planes, and then from there he jumped into a volcano that was there and ended up in Sigil.
Ah,
As you
Easy.
do.
casual.
I've
He's like,
done the
I
same.
know my way out of
Yeah.
this.
It happens.
That
Sometimes
volcano
you
looks
just
like a
gotta
door.
yeet yourself into a volcano.
You know.
That's just what you gotta
Happens all
do.
the
You
time.
know.
Now,
That's just
speaking
life.
of yeeting yourself into a volcano, Renaya.
Hey.
What a segue.
So, a lot happened.
Yeah.
It was kind of like we were back in Renaya as a demon prince.
Yeah.
That's kind of what happened.
So
So I assume. I mean, I know that she probably lived it up with Grotz for a bit, but then it got awkward because of Baphomet or whatever. So just
it's
go ahead
time.
and yeah. What's the tea
Okay,
here? What's the
so
tea?
here's the tea, because basically we've got a general overview of what's happened, but there's a lot of details that haven't
sure there
gotten to be revealed, or and probably honestly won't. But
Spill the beans.
where we left off in chapter 1 was Grotz had oh gosh, what's his name? Other demon prince.
Baphomet.
No, not Baphomet. The one
Oh.
who was the cult.
Gargoyle.
He was a gargoyle-y kind of thing. Deceit
Come on,
was
Aaron. You
his-
know these things.
It was deceit was his like domain.
Come on, guys. You're breaking my
Oh,
heart here.
gosh,
I'm gonna
not-
have to search
not
Demon
Demogorgon.
Princes D&D.
Um,
I'm gonna have to
Oh,
search
gosh.
these.
Oh, gee, you're looking at the wrong guy.
Demon
I don't
Prince.
take
Oh,
notes.
Orcus, Grotz, Baphomet, Yinogu, Dubelex, Frieds Uberlu,
Froz.
Kostetch,
Froz or Blue?
Malconfet,
where we got it.
Zugtmoy.
Grant, we're good.
Which one was it?
Zigmoy.
Fraz.
Yenagu,
Yeah,
Fraz or Blue.
Blue.
Fraz,
Um,
Herb
I like to imagine
Blue.
him as French.
Okay, so
Fraz, Herb Blue.
So Fraz basically was the demon prince in charge of Renaya's whole family cult thing that ruined her life
Yes,
before
I
we
remember
started.
this.
L.
End of chapter 1. Grotz captures and imprisons Frazor Blue.
Yes, I remember this.
So what happens over the time break? First year, Renaya stays with Grotz for majority. She's like helps around with the others and helps make sure like Tarak's wishes are met and things like that, and helps take care of all that first year, but is mostly like her home is with Grotz. And towards the end of that first year, Fraz gets broken out. Basically, all the other demon lords were mad that Grotz decided to do that,
I mean,
And-
that's fair, I guess.
broke in to break Fraz out. And in breaking Fraz out, they took Renaya with them.
Oh snap! They're like, you
so-
took one of us. We're
That's a
gonna take
really
one of
bad.
yours.
That's a really bad
Yeah.
twist for a vacation.
Yeah, not
Uh-oh.
ideal.
All of the demon
is
princes are
exactly
like,
like Mr.
you
and
know the
Mrs. Smith.
halak, mine now.
So then Baphomet basically gets a hold of her. And for that next year, yeah, boo!
Boo,
Bad
Baphomet.
Baphomet. For that
Boo-phomet.
next year, tortures her by turning her into a demon. Turning her into a demon prince.
Holy crud! Just like the old days.
Which is, she spent literally a year being bathed in blood and consuming souls.
Fun. Do they have a
Oh,
flavor?
my eyes are watering.
That's
Sorry, what was that, Aaron?
That's a really rough Tuesday.
Yeah,
that,
that was a
Aaron?
rough
That's a rough
year.
lot of
That was a rough
Tuesdays.
year.
Yeah.
So then
Yikes! Oh,
she
boy.
ends up getting freed. I believe Grotz and I want to say Malice teamed up and got her
Oh.
out of there.
Now this is a
So
one shot
cool.
I want to see.
Oh my
Um,
god!
But it has to be just DJ. Just DJ
But-
playing
Like
as
an
Malice
anime.
and Grotz breaking Renaya out.
But Baphomet made her a demon prince under him. So he's now basically her warlock patron instead of Grotz.
Oh, that's rough.
Oh my
And
gosh!
he can summon her and give her any command, and she has to follow it. And so he told her that. Oh wait, no, that's not what happened. Grotz and
Oh.
Malice didn't break her out. That was an
Dang it.
original idea of what happened. That's
Oh
not
no,
what happened.
my 80s
Sorry,
buddy
I'm
cop
remembering
movie.
a detail.
Okay,
That
yeah,
would be
go
an
for it.
amazing like side little thing.
Good
but
idea. Good idea. But
here's
no.
what this is what happens.
Okay.
Baphomet lets her leave.
But the twist.
I don't know what to play right now. Do I laugh? Do I
Yeah.
clap?
Baphomet just lets her go. But the
Okay.
conditions under her going were that she was his. He had
Should I
claim of
stay?
her.
Should I-
And if she ever went back to Gratz, he would kill Gratz. So,
Hence them being so secretive.
That's real rough.
hence why
So
Gratz was not a part of the beginning, and why
Interesting.
Renaya had to basically stay hidden from and not communicate with him at all.
So
And-
does Baphomet still have the ability to like call upon Renaya and make her do anything?
I mean, he
Well,
did
yeah.
recently.
Yeah, he did recently.
Oh,
The one
yeah, he did
episode that I wasn't
recently.
there for, that's what he did.
Wow.
But Gratz didn't know. Gratz didn't know what had happened to Renaya. Gratz didn't know about Baphomet, and Gratz didn't know that Renaya wasn't allowed to go and see him.
Actually,
So-
he
Oh,
probably
poor
barely realized
guy.
that you were
So
even
he-
released.
He thought that he had done something wrong, because
guy.
Renaya had been sending pockets back to the palace to kind of like spy. But of course, Gratz is aware of it, even though she was trying to be subtle and sneaky with pockets. Gratz knew pockets was there and didn't understand why Renaya wouldn't come home.
I feel so
And
bad for him. When
so
we
Gratz
first saw Gratz, he was
was-
in a bad way. He was not
Yeah.
doing good.
That's my favorite I've ever seen Gratz.
Just like pizza boxes, like
Like
chip
Bachelor
bags,
Gratz
like,
is
Bachelor
is
Gratz.
like relatable.
But yeah,
Oh,
so Gratz
poor
was having
guy.
a bad time with that. And then the last year, Renaya just spent at the Scholar's Guide trying to find any way to break her tie to Baphomet.
Well, how interesting. I feel like a bloodbath for like a year would change somebody.
It's
Oh,
got to
yeah.
be good for the skin, though, right?
That's why Renaya's
I
like
don't
dead
know.
set. She's like, I'm going to kill this demon.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, it makes sense now. It all makes sense now, is what I'm
There you
trying to
go.
say.
It didn't need to make sense for Abinthy. He's in.
Good job,
But
Renaya,
sense
for
is not required.
being. I don't know what to say.
Alive.
I guess you're a demon. See, I had thought that Renaya was demon prince because she was like she achieved demon prince. It's more like you're demon prince now.
No, it
Yeah.
was
Good job.
that is another detail. She was purposely made a demon prince because it was a way to further torment Gratz. Because Gratz was wanting to give
Oh.
up his demon prince title to be with Renaya, and now Renaya is stuck with a demon prince title.
Snap! See, oh my gosh, this changes things.
Spicy.
It's too
Because
bad
it
your
seemed
character
as
doesn't
if,
know it.
yeah, it seemed as if, oh, you're a demon prince now. Oh, you did that. You're doing that now. Interesting.
Another
That's
detail.
what it seems like. Okay.
So sorry, I'm excited.
Ooh, audience noise,
Um,
audience noise, audience noise.
Renaya's demon prince title is Queen of the Chained.
Ooh.
That's so
and-
metal.
It is pretty metal, but the whole backing of it is because she is a pet. She is a pet kept on a chain. So she is Queen of the Chained. She is Queen of the Pets. So it is basically an insult anytime another demon prince refers to her title.
Okay. All,
Cat's loving it.
all in favor of starting the Fates Gambit metal band
I'm already in, dog.
with lead singer Queen of the Chained. Like, dude, that's so rad.
Both Aaron
God.
and Abinthy are in.
Cather
But
can
yeah,
keep his
so-
name Trap King, but now it means something else. It means like the trap
Renaya-
set. It means trap music.
Renaya's always hesitant to say her demon title because, yes, it's a demon title, but it's supposed to be insulting. It's supposed to be embarrassing to have.
Oh, like Track being Track the
So it's
cursed
not-
child or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not powerful. It's
Because it
Well,
seems
that-
powerful.
It certainly
But
gives
man,
gives
that's
Glossia a lot more reasons to like you because she's in some ways much in the same position of like, yeah, you're the warden of the sixth layer, but that's because you can't leave jail.
yeah.
Dang. Wow, that's crazy to hear. That is crazy. So, for the sake of expediency, we'll move on. As much as I could literally hear about this forever, and I was excited for a good reason because I didn't expect half of what you said. We're gonna move on to talking about this next year. We're gonna move on to talking about what we're excited for, what we're kind of planning. I don't think this will take quite as long, so hopefully we'll be done in about half an hour, maybe a little more. And if it's not that, then it's just because we're having fun.
Oh, well.
So we'll go ahead and start with the elephant in the room. Wah, 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 wah. In my
Nice
head,
sound
that's the sound that played when I hit my soundboard.
Gotcha.
But I didn't have that sound.
Okay.
Yeah. So the elephant in the room. Guess what's gonna happen? Any guesses? No? Okay.
Hit by a bus.
No. Campaign 1 will it probably indeed end though. This year.
I don't believe
this
it.
year. It's probably gonna be the end of campaign 1, and this is why it's crazy because we've been streaming and playing these characters for once the campaign has ended, it will have been over 3 years that we had been playing and streaming the same characters, and that's kind of weird.
That is
to
kind of
think
funky.
about. So the question I have written down is, how is everybody feeling about it? Like, it's just
Okay,
just
can
a
I start?
strange
Yeah.
thing, and I don't even know where to start. You know?
I'll
Yeah,
start.
you can start. Absolutely, please.
Okay. I'm ready.
Please
Like
do.
that sounds
He's like,
harsh.
I am
that
out
sounds
of
harsh.
here. I'm
That sounds
gone.
harsh.
My contract
But-
ends at the end of campaign 1.
Like
I'm getting a
I'm
new
not
job.
We don't have
like
a
I'm not
contract.
ready like now, but I think that the story is definitely coming to its conclusion. I think that it is definitely like a good time. We've been going at a good pace. And I think that where we have predicted the campaign is going to end, I think that is going to be the perfect amount of time for this story and these characters. I think we'll be able
Absolutely.
to wrap up those loose ends and get that ending. And I'm very excited to the break was cool because it did give us a little bit of a reset where we were able to change and adjust characters because we had a 3-year gap. But of course, there are limits to how much we can change. And the other big thing that I'm ready for is the character I'm like Renaya, I made 2 years ago.
Mhm.
I am a very different person than who I was 2 years ago. So I
That's a
have a
great
very, I've developed more of a play style. I know what I enjoy playing more. And I've tried to adjust Renaya to fit that more, but there's certain limits to who Renaya is
Yeah.
and all that. So I'm excited for the opportunity to build a new character based more on me now.
So true, Queen. That's so true. And I feel the electricity in the air though, of like, you know, I'm curious to what DJ is doing behind the scenes because I have a feeling that the end of the campaign will feel pretty darn big, and I'm excited. I'm just kind of excited for the spectacle of the thing, but
Mhm.
then also there's like a level of excitement that comes with switching it
Also,
up. Absolutely,
we get to say we finished a 3-year campaign.
Mhm.
that like
That's
makes my
powerful.
heart beat.
Yeah, dude.
Okay,
Like, it's
we haven't
so
gotten there
weird.
yet. Let's
I
not.
know, but I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
let's
But we
not
get
be-
to say that
saying.
eventually.
I'm just saying. That's
Theoretically,
pretty,
let's not jinx
that's a,
it
that's
now.
a power. That's a power move.
It is powerful, and how I think how I've developed feelings for campaign 1. I'll use actually a chat that was just sent through recently. The Anchor Denki. I honestly thought after Track died was when the campaign was gonna end, but then I found found out about the next season. I feel like this whole first campaign is honestly kind of a test run. Like, I think first I want to preface with I think that these characters are forever going to be legendary as like the original TPD characters. Like I could even see us doing live shows in the future if we ever get there where we are our campaign 1 characters. I could see that being the case. However, I do think that later on down the road, we're going to see this previous time as like the time that we were learning how to do a show. And so I cherish that. I think it's charming. I think it's something that we won't be able to get from any other thing we ever do. So I think we should cherish that. But I'm also excited to see like the quality and the different things we can do with our future projects. It's just an exciting thing to start again and be like, we did that, time to do the next thing. So that's kind of how I'm feeling about it. I'll miss the characters, I think. Like, I think I'll miss it more than I feel I will now. But yeah, I'm just excited for the next thing.
Drew, do you want to go
Uh,
next, and then I'll wrap
yeah,
it
we'll
up?
go with
Or-
Drew so that you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
wrap it up with an announcement.
Yeah, I mean, looking at like the end of the campaign, it is super exciting just to see like how the story ends, how things kind of get wrapped up. Hopefully in a really grand and awesome spectacle. And I mean, and really just thinking about like um kind of the just even the next couple months of episodes, not even necessarily the end of the campaign. Um, I'm really really excited for that because just because I know like a lot of the growth that I think is going to come for Cather in a very rapid kind of motion for him over these next, possibly even just next, 4 or 5 episodes, depending on how things develop, um, which I'm super excited for. And yeah, definitely like 100%, like just thinking about like how far we've all come and being able to say, yeah, like we played through a whole 3-year campaign from level 1 to level 20, and
Jeez.
it's all out there for the world to see. Like not a lot of people make it that far. Like I mean, one, it's rare to have just a full campaign with a group of friends, just even in a casual sense. Let alone
Mhm.
like a stream show that like people start and they're able to stick it out to the very end. It's just pretty rare, and very cool to see. And me being the Omega nerd that I am, already have like so much of my campaign 2 character thought of, built,
Alpha nerd.
fleshed out. I'm so excited. Like he, my camp, like, and it's
Don't give away too much.
well, no. I won't. I
We're
won't.
keeping it
But-
locked tight.
But kind of getting at what a little bit of what Lydia was talking about, even Cather, it's kind of funny because like Cather is very much one aspect of myself, versus my campaign 2 character is another aspect of myself. They're very much different characters, but they're just different parts of myself that I'm exploring, which I'm very interested to see, just very excited to play and to explore. Um, yeah,
I'm so pumped.
lots of cool stuff.
And Aaron, how do you feel
Yeah.
about the end of campaign 1?
Well, I'm not a big change guy for most things. I'm not a huge fan of changing things up super consistently in a very general sense. But when it comes to the campaign itself, I mean, I'm always excited to start new things. I kind of get less of a relief than you guys do because I already got mine. Like I've already switched characters and stuff like that, so it isn't like I've been playing the same character for 3 years straight. Um, but I am excited to see the end of the campaign and what DJ does with it. There's always a bit of a fear from a logistics standpoint. One of the things that I've been preaching to the Paper Dungeon cast is, and in some ways we've succeeded, and in other ways we can always do better. But to kind of market the Paper Dungeon as the people of the Paper Dungeon rather than the story that we tell. I've always hoped that you viewers out there are watching it because you like the characters and the way that we play and who we are as people more than the specific story that we tell or the specific characters that we play. Because eventually, we're not going to do that. We're going to play different characters and we're going to have a different story. And so we hope that you will stick with us into campaign 2. Drew, I saw you raise your hand.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you talking reminded me of something that I wanted to mention. Um, Looking forward to the end of this campaign and the beginning of a new campaign. Something else that I'm also really excited for, because of the fact that we've been playing together now for 3 years in a live environment. I think we've all kind of finally found a good groove that we enjoy and like, both as what kind of characters we like to play, what kind of roles we like to fill within a party, how we like just the flow of an episode or a session to go. Which, if you look at the whole campaign 1, it was like we had a whole mess. Like there's like At the very beginning, like we got nothing done because
It was messy.
everyone just role
was
played
messy.
the entire episode. And then there was like a little thing where nobody a little section where nobody role played, and we just kind of did things. And now we're
It was
finally
just
at a
an
point where
echo
like
of a plot.
yeah, and then now we're just like at a point where we're finally like okay. Yeah, all right. We're talking to each
strong
other. We're doing
balance.
some role play. We're still developing the main story.
And we've played with each other as different characters like so many times. So starting off where we're all different characters probably won't feel as strange.
Yeah, with one shots and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Now, so as I said, I really hope that all of you who have been watching us up until this point will continue to watch us as we eventually transition into a new story and new experience of the Paper Dungeon. Part of that as well is DJ has mentioned it before, and if you haven't caught those streams where he's mentioned it, DJ will not be DMing campaign 2. He will be still part of the Paper Dungeon. He will be playing as a character. What hasn't been announced is who will be DMing. Oh, big surprise. I'm going to be taking over as DM for campaign 2.
This is the first time it's ever been said. Big announcement.
Yeah, I know
Aaron,
no one could
DM
have
for campaign
guessed.
2.
Oh man, personally, I thought it was going to be Ryan. I thought he was going to show back
and
up.
Aaron,
I'm
Aaron,
DMing.
so
We'll be taking ballots to vote for campaign 3 DM.
no,
Yep.
that's not happening.
I
It could happen.
I
That
would
would be
like to
interesting.
add Quincy to the poll.
I'm voting for myself.
I think that would be
but-
fun.
But first, I would like to say that we're not going to reveal anything about campaign 2 here. But Aaron, if you'd like to, you're welcome to say anything about it. I mean, even
Oh,
if you just want to say that you have stuff planned, like
I've got
but I'll
so
open
much
the
planned.
floor to you because we're going to keep everything locked down as tight as we can up to release date. Nothing
Well,
is
yeah,
going to be
so
said.
I obviously can't reveal a lot of genre or a lot of like. I obviously can't tell you what characters will be there, what characters like what anyone else is playing or any NPCs
I'll
that
be
I have
there.
planned.
Drew
Yeah.
McKellips as a character
Yeah,
will be there.
theoretically, everyone who is on this stream
I'm
will be
playing
there.
Drew.
There has been some talk. We haven't looked into anything. We haven't done literally any research, but there is a potential of adding another cast member. So we'll have to do a bit more work on our end and see if that's something that we want to do, or if we'd like to hold off on that. It's been talked about for years that we would like to add another person.
I think it's safe to say that we have no plans, but we are paying attention.
Yeah,
I guess you could say.
pinned to a board. We
Yes,
can
pinned to
see
a
it.
board.
It's present, but there has been no work put forward to it.
Yeah.
On top of that, I can tell you that it will be in the same universe as Nico Muris. It will be like they will be connected in some regard, whether or not it will be on Nico Muris or maybe it's on a different plane. It's hard
And
to
campaign
fully
1
explain.
will have been canon.
Yeah,
to
that is canon to
campaign
this
2's
thing.
events.
Whether it happens in the past, in the future, or the present, we can't reveal that. I can tell you right now, assuming no drastic changes occur to the characters that I've talked with some of my cast members of them playing, and as long as nothing wild happens in that regard, I have the intro / first 2 to 3 arcs planned, as well as where the campaign ends.
Wow, that's actually
Sheesh.
more than I
and
thought.
us as characters, at the very least, have a pretty strong concept of who we'll be playing. So we'll be doing a lot of behind the scenes planning. Hopefully, it can have a whole new look, whole new sound, whole new feel.
Oh yeah,
I'm
really excited.
We're all very, very excited about it.
I know that Grant, you've talked a lot about your excitement for a new soundtrack.
Dude, I can't.
Which
can't
I'm
wait
really
for
excited
that.
to see what you and Drew pull off.
I'm so
really
excited.
excited to see Lydia's, assuming that we can afford to pay for new stuff. I'm really excited
Yeah.
to see what you do with the overlays and the character art.
It's gonna be
Yeah,
fucking wild.
and I'm
It's gonna be
hoping
wild and wacky.
I'm hoping that it turns out well. I'm hoping that not only my players but also you watching enjoy the story that I'm going to try to put together for everyone, because I think that it's going to be pretty good. Thank you for clapping.
Woo.
If you would have booed,
Yeah.
I would have felt really bad.
No, I wouldn't do that. Or laugh. That might be worse.
yeah.
So very exciting stuff. Campaign 2 is going to be great. Likely will be kicked off this year. There is a chance, I think there's a safe bet that there will be a small break, obviously, between Campaign 1 and Campaign 2. Time for us to
where we do all of
regroup,
our work.
figure out what's going to happen. So I can't say exactly how long that's going to be or anything, but theoretically in 2023 we're going to launch that.
I have a prediction.
You have a prediction? Okay.
At the start of this year, DJ said that he thought he had around 6 months. So sometime in my money is on July, August is when Campaign 2 would be coming out if we end sometime around June.
Dude,
that's a good ending.
That's nuts to think about.
Oh yeah, 6 months.
That's
and
soon.
We've got like 6 levels to go, so 1 level a month.
That's gonna be the fastest we've ever gone.
That's something.
So I want to move along here. I'm going to just kind of shout out some things we have planned, and we can all pitch in on anything we'd like to say anything about. Starting with some bigger things and then getting into smaller things. The first one I want to shout out Between the Rows.
Yes.
Is it pretty confirmed that this year we're going to do a season 4, Aaron?
So there will be something that we do for Halloween, because we like to do that depending on when we start recording and everything like that. Like if we start recording in June, then it should be pretty okay. The goal is to have a season 4 of Between the Rows, but since it will be my first time DMing a consistent weekly long-term campaign streamed, there may be a chance that I open up that time slot to someone else who would like to run a mini series for Halloween.
Sure.
Because I can see Lydia just frothing.
Yeah, Lydia's little ears are turned, like zoned in. Your pupils dilated.
Halloween.
Yeah.
Hello.
So
okay, cool. So maybe not Between the Rows, but definitely
if
a fall.
Between the Rows does happen, and I am DMing it, I believe it will be Between the Rows Original Sin. We will be going back to Ireland to see where it all began with the
so cool.
The little semicolon underneath to describe this season would be Oops All Pattersons.
Oh my gosh. Now I think there is a potential future where we do both of them. Or that and another thing. I don't think that would happen, but who knows, I guess.
You never know.
Speaking of potential, but I will say that I think Between the Rows season 4 will inevitably happen. If it's not, next year.
You can't stop me. I've got a story
exciting.
to tell. I've got bills to pay. I've got gosh dang vendettas to enact.
Yeah. Talking about potential side series, I know that DJ's not here, so I'm going to speak for him. DJ has wanted to, and I won't give away too much. DJ has really wanted to do a side series that is relevant to Campaign 1 that has taken place in the past. So there's a potential that we produce that side series. It probably wouldn't be anything crazy, maybe 4 episodes or something like that. It's possible that we do another side series earlier in the year. But of course,
I think that it might be Patreon only. If I'm remembering,
it might be Patreon only. That is something that I'm not sure of, but I could definitely see that being the case. So that's a good idea, actually.
We haven't fully developed or talked about. We've only really just mentioned it more recently again, like, hey, this is still something that we want to do. My guess would be likely Patreon content and or something that happens post Campaign 1, maybe while we're in between states of transition.
If we're able to do a whole bunch of our work like before the 1 to 1.5 month gap between season 1 and season 2, we might record that in the middle. That would be a good idea.
That's a great idea too. So
I believe the name. Am I allowed to name it? I think DJ mentioned.
I was thinking it's a name too. I think we can
DJ
mention what we think
it,
it'll be.
If we're correct and
let's say it at the same
DJ
time.
Changes it.
At the same time, ready?
This is good. We're lagging, dude.
I'm gonna count down to 1, and then we'll say it. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Pandemonium.
Age of Pandemonium.
Pretty close.
Something like that.
Yeah. Working title is Age of Pandemonium.
Yeah, somewhere in there. So expect some nonsense.
DJ.
DJ's there.
DJ can confirm.
Actually, chat is so excited. A series during the trials in all caps.
That's the one.
That's very exciting.
So yeah,
yeah,
I already know which
those are our
character I'm
side
playing. I'm in.
series. It's exciting. So moving on, should we mention any potential cons, any potential meetups? I'm gonna actually ask Lydia this. Should we mention anything
Are there
right
any
now
things
that
that
we
might
can
mention?
happen?
That's
a good
there
question.
is a hope that we will be at the Convergence, which is Quincy's Tavern, is going to be a real place that you can go and do, and it's a real special event. You should definitely check it out, Quincy's Tavern. We're hoping
TikTok.
we're going to be able to navigate that.
And Twitch.
Another hope, I believe, is are we trying to do Gen Con this year? Is that
I mean,
a
I'm
hope?
down to
We
give
have
it a
not
shot.
talked about it.
We haven't
I
talked
know that is-
extensively
wanted
about
to
it,
do
but
con
it's,
forever.
I know that is a personal hope for Lydia. Lydia is hoping to go to Gen Con.
Oh, yeah.
Lydia is hoping to take the paper dungeon with her to Gen Con.
What month is Gen
Um,
Con?
Gen Con, I
Do you know?
believe, is
Or what time of the year?
summer, fall,
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
I
So
think
there's
I think
time.
it leans more towards fall.
late summer, early fall.
Yeah, late summer, early fall feels right.
Couple
Let me
questions.
honestly hold on. Let me.
It
look
feels
up.
like
Yeah, go.
September. September feels like a Gen
I
Con
feel
time,
like
but I don't know if that's right.
also totally something
August.
I meant
Early
to
August.
mention.
yes, it's August.
Dang
Way
it, I was a
way
month
ago.
off.
While they are looking at that, thank you to all the people who check us out on podcast, Podbean,
Oh yeah,
Spotify,
shout out to the podcast people.
Apple Podcasts, all those places. More recently, we hit 15K, 15 plus K downloads all time. So
It's a big milestone.
thank you to all of
15.
you who support us
All of
there.
you. We have such a big podcast audience, but it's so funny because we never really run into
Yeah, we hear
podcasts.
like
They don't have a way to comment. You know,
Yeah.
they'd have to
Step
like hop
up,
in. I think
podcast
Anchored. I
producer
think Anchored
people.
Anki in chat,
Yep.
who's here a lot, is podcast. But so I have a couple questions about these meetups. So first of all, if I think it's safe to say if any of us go to Quincy's, hopefully all of us. If it's not all of us going to Quincy's Tavern,
At least
event,
some of us.
then at least some of us. And Lydia, do you know if that's like open to the public or is it just a
Yes.
chance for us to go?
So
Nice.
what I believe it is there is like VIP and there is also just like kind of a general
Mm-hmm.
admission thing. And I believe VIP is sold out, but I believe you can still get general admission things. I'm not 100% sure. That's just kind of something I heard along the grapevine.
And-
may not be true, but definitely go check it out for yourself. See what
Oh,
is
yeah.
available. It's
And-
going to be so cool, and there's going to be so many awesome people there.
And not much is set in stone for us, but we will make sure to communicate with people what's happening.
And for
Yes.
the audience, when can they look forward to that event?
That is May, I believe. Let me
That's so
double
soon.
check.
That's so soon.
Holy cow!
So maybe you'll have a chance to potentially see some of us in person.
At
which would be
minimum, if as long as we are there will be some form of videoed content.
Yeah, and I think all of
So-
us would like to go. It's just kind of up in the air as to
Yeah, can we find the
who-
money and the
yeah,
time?
money
Or
and
they can-
and who's able to
So
go
if you would
within
like
their
to support
schedule.
our ability to go to
May
That's
2nd.
that's real though. That's real.
It is May 2nd through the 6th, and it is in Pleasant Grove, Utah.
Gotcha.
Oh, that's so hype. So
Yeah.
guys, think about it. Please think about it. It'd be so fun to meet some
Yeah.
of you guys.
And then Gen Con's another one. I know I myself
Potential.
like I'd like to go to Gen Con even if it's alone. So
I think we're learning here now that there's a strong chance that we'll at least go. I don't know if we'll have a booth or anything at Gen Con.
Yeah.
Probably
Probably
not.
Probably not.
Probably
there's
not.
a
But
strong
we
doubtful
could
on that
go.
one, buddy.
Yeah. So
We'll be
see.
strolling
Um,
around,
Yeah, we'll be
the-
strolling. We'll be
catching
the
various diseases.
Sorry, I'm going back to Quincy's. The VIP is sold out, but you can still get general admission.
Maybe drop a link in the Discord if you have it. That might be a
yeah.
good idea. But we'll do an announcement at some
Yeah.
point. We'll be
We'll keep you
hyping it up.
updated.
Yeah, we'll keep you updated.
We have an
once
announcement
a little more
section in our
information.
Discord. so.
Where should I put it in a Discord?
I
Stream
don't know what
Talks?
things
For
are.
now,
Some
just
things.
yeah, stick it in Stream Tops. We'll do a more like we'll pin a more professional announcement later on in the announcements category. So
Okay.
yeah, go ahead and drop it in Stream Talk. That's perfect, so people know what we're talking about. Moving on here, Aaron, real quick, do you have any special ideas or things you'd like to see happen on Table Scraps, aka Table Talks? Is there anything special you'd like to do with it?
Oh, there's
Because
so many things.
I know there's so many ideas, and it's tough to get them rolling, especially with the amount of quantity we're doing with Patreon and stuff. But I'll rephrase the question. What are some things you would hope that we do on Table Scraps this year?
Honestly, for Table Scraps, I've played with a lot of ideas as for what exactly I want it to be. But um just because I have so much going on, and the whole like cast does. Originally, I kind of wanted it to be I'll just run a game like every week, and just whoever can show up can show up. But that was really difficult to do for me and for everyone else to be able to show up consistently. What I kind of want Table Scraps to become is a really real place where you can get honest behind the scenes of what exactly we're doing, our thoughts and opinions on things, and if you have questions to ask about TTRPGs, the paper dungeon, and like what we think on pretty much any topic, like that's kind of where you can go. Because one of the things that I always really loved about a lot of larger streams that I watch, or even just Twitch streamers in general that I enjoy to watch, is when they are speaking to you and you know that they're being honest about what they're talking about. And so I kind of want it to be a place where you can go and you can be like, hey, I heard a lot about this thing that Wizards of the Coast is doing. What are your thoughts and opinions on this? Like what does that mean? And then like I'm just there to tell you like, hey, this is what we kind of feel about it. This is what we're doing. Or like when Lydia, you had to take a break, like being like, hey, yeah, don't worry, Lydia will be back. She's just taking a break here, and we're excited for whenever she decides to return. And that's kind of just what I want it to be. I want it to be a short segment where you can ask the paper dungeon, or just me, depending on who's there, what do you think about this? What's going on? I can tell you, hey, we're going to be going to Gen Con. And you can say, that's awesome. This carries so much disinfectant with you. And I could be, yep, because we're going to need it. Yeah, that's kind of what it. Thank you for the laugh track.
You're welcome.
That's kind of what I want it to be. Just a very wholesome, simple, straight to the point, where we also have a good amount of laughs and talk about Twilight. That's what I want.
Specifically.
It's happened
Yeah.
a surprising amount of times.
It has
when
actually.
we talk about
I
Twilight.
can confirm.
Yeah. And I have a feeling that even if it doesn't happen this year, eventually we're gonna come up with some crazy ideas that we probably carry out.
But there will be some times where I'm like, oh my god, I can get 4 people together on a Thursday. Let's run a one shot in a new RPG. Or something like, or let's run a 1-page RPG and just throw it together real quick, and something spontaneous and wacky. But right now it's pretty
and
chill.
You know, people think. I mean, TikTok loves you. They
Hmm?
think you are. I mean, remember?
I'm
that
4 out of
one
10.
comment
So
that talked
Six.
about how.
No, wait, is it
I
4 or is
forget
it
what that
6?
comment.
it's hard to
There's
know.
some
It's between
comment
4
that
and 6. Dude.
loved you. Do you remember, Lydia?
It's 6 out of 10. I made you a mug.
Yeah, I was gonna say
But
Lydia made him
I
up.
honestly thought it was 4 out of 10 though, because
probably wrong.
isn't that
No.
worse than 5?
No, because it was 6 out of 10 DM, and you said it was so much worse because it was like it's just
was
barely
like-
not
I'll
good
still
enough.
take you, but it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, yeah. So 6 out of
So
10
good.
DM. I'm gonna.
So
I'm
yeah,
gonna- I'm
people
gonna find it
love
just
the
to
6 out of 10.
double-check.
Yeah.
Grant, can I real quick ask a question to Aaron about Table Scraps?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Speaking of the idea of running one shots, assuming you can get people together, could we look forward to the idea of people other than the main cast joining you on Table Scraps for
I would love to
conversations
do that.
or those fun one shots?
You're
So,
speaking guests.
I haven't put any work, thought, or effort into that, other than like I thought about it at one point in time, and I was like, I'm going to pin this to a wall and not look at it for another year. I would love to do that, even if it's just like, hey, hey Maz, are like a mod, what
Hey,
a
Wizards of the
playing
Coast
a
representative, Maz.
one shot on Table Scraps, or like, hey, if it gets to the point where like I am somehow on speaking terms with Quincy, like in a like I know them very well. Like, hey, would you like to show up on a Table Scraps one day? I would love to do stuff like that. Have talk shows
Brennan Lee
and little mini talk shows,
Mulligan, Matthew
bro. Oh my
Mercer.
goodness, get them
If
on
we
there.
if
You
we
know it.
okay, if we ever get to a point that we can get Matthew Mercer or Brennan Lee Mulligan on our show,
Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
that's how you know that we as the Paper Dungeon
Okay.
have made it.
I'm not gonna like say anything, but I am gonna say something. So, do you guys know like Dimension 20 and like
I mean,
how
Never heard of
one
him.
of the GMs on there, Gabe, Gabe Hicks, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking now.
kind of follows me on TikTok and kind of favorited one of my TikToks today. Just
That
saying.
means we can get him on the
Just-
show.
No, that's not
Just
what that
kidding.
means.
I know,
I'm just saying,
kidding.
like connections
guys,
are out there.
guys, we
We've
have
got-
an
Connections
in.
are out there.
We have
there's
an
some
in.
cool.
We have
There's
an
some
in.
cool people
Just
out
kidding.
there.
Look, there's a
that-
reason why, like,
I'm excited to
next
work
to
with this
Lydia's
year.
name, it's Lydia quotation marks the plug.
Although I'm more serious now.
Fuck.
Assuming that the Paper Dungeon cast can make it to some more of these fun in-person events like Quincy's
oh yeah,
Tavern
that's
or Gen Con,
some good
Uh,
networking.
you know, we could potentially meet a lot of cool people.
I'm
And
so
I know
excited.
that a lot of us individually also are planning on kind of expanding our influence on the interwebs. Lydia's already
Yeah.
doing it. You recently hit like an absurd amount of followers on TikTok.
Do you want to say it? You can say it. It's fine.
You can say it.
I'm about to hit 80,000. on
Yeah.
TikTok.
So
She's headed towards that 1
Um,
million.
yeah, once can you imagine if all of us reach like 50% of Lydia's success, and so then they go from Lydia's to like one of ours, and they're like, oh my god, they're on the same cast. Those are the people that I follow on the social medias.
How is Lydia with those bozos?
Yeah,
That's what they're all gonna
honestly,
say.
I ask that
It's like-
question every day.
It's just like,
Right?
should somebody
I'm like,
talk to her?
man.
Is she okay? Why is
I'm
she
like,
like
wow.
hanging out with these weirdos? Like, I don't know.
Thank goodness
It's not
you
a good
did
look for
not
her.
know
Oh no.
that we had no
Not the
say
help
in
me
anything
giver.
here.
Moving on from that.
As answer your question,
So-
yes, that would be cool.
Okay, so I'm gonna burn through some other projects that we're thinking. We can talk about it, but these are just smaller things that we'd like to get kicked off this year, or at least get started on. The first thing is we've already been doing better at, but Patreon. We have finally. You remember back in the day when
No.
we would just talk about how one day we'll do stuff for Patreon. Well, that time has finally come. We do a one shot at least once a month. We've already talked about doing like one side series that'll probably be available on Patreon. And some canonical stuff will be on Patreon. For example, we've done a one shot before that actually the one shot and the side series both are part of the story of campaign 1. So like there's valuable stuff there, and we'll continue to be posting some valuable stuff there. If not just another fun one shot to watch. And hopefully some behind the scenes like cast videos that we've mentioned one or two of. We have plans there to get started. So that's very exciting. Aaron, would you like to say something about Patreon?
I mean, I've got to my goal, my New Year's resolution for me as a member of TPD was do more Patreon stuff. I really want to get a handle on the Patreon. My other goal, so my sub goal underneath that is social media stuff. I really want to start delving more into that, and man, am I bad at it, but I'm really trying out here. But in terms of Patreon stuff, especially when it gets to the point where I am DMing campaign 2, there's a couple of things that I want to input that kind of allow some some crowd contribution to some things. In terms of theoretically, I don't know if any of you watching or who are in the party here have ever seen or listened to the group Dungeons and Daddies. They have a lot of Patreon contribution stuff when it comes to naming NPCs or locations and stuff like that. And so I don't know exactly whether or not I'll steal just everything directly from them or how it will function. But I would love to give even more of a reason when it comes to polls and um, like contribution levels and even like tiers where who knows, maybe the top tier could be playing an off-screen one shot that can and that actively affects the world or something like that.
Mm.
There's a lot of stuff that I would like to do Patreon wise when it comes to campaign 2 and just in general. And
Cool.
I'm hoping
Look forward to that.
hoping that I don't fall through on that.
I think there's a good chance that at the very
That I'll
least
fall through on it.
we'll take Patroneer names and put it in the camp. That's like pretty easy. I think there are some
Yeah.
things that we can be pretty confident will happen. But
So for those
that's
of you
really
on
cool.
the Patreon, get ready.
Further along that, there's something that I'm going to say because I think we will do it, and I think
Also, you can't expect more trips to Walmart.
Oh yeah, absolutely, Hans.
Can
That is
or
one of our
can't?
videos.
You can.
Can.
That's going to be
first
most
Patreon
of our content,
vlog
I think.
was me and Aaron going to Walmart.
It was great, but
it-
terrible.
it's all right. It's pretty fun.
I look so overweight in that video. It's
Bro,
terrible.
you look amazing. Stop that.
I'm an absolute
Stop
unit
that.
at that Walmart.
My body actually wasn't working for that video.
Yeah.
So if you want to see, go there. I would like to talk just briefly about something that I'm really excited about called TPD Abridged, the Paper Dungeon Abridged,
Ooh.
which I'm pretty darn certain we're going to kick off this year. It just takes a lot of behind the scenes work, but I'd essentially like to do a series here where we actually edit down the streams, the episodes, starting from the beginning of campaign 1. We edit down the episodes and do some post production work, make the audio a little better. Maybe we mess with the music a bit, things like that. Just make it overall a more fluid listening or viewing experience. And hopefully those would be about 1.5 hours to 2 hours long each, where only the great stuff are in those videos. I look forward to this a lot for a number of reasons. I think it'll be flippin' fun. It'll be easier to catch up, some people don't have 4 hours to listen through a story. So overall, I think TPD Bridge will be a lot of fun. We'll have a separate channel for that. We don't have a timeline, but by the end of the year, I'd like maybe at least 10 episodes on there or something like that. So maybe we'll get that kicked off, and I think that would be a lot of fun. We'd like to remaster some of the earlier podcast episodes, which sounds really fancy. Just make them better, a little more better audio experience. Fandom. I'm tossing this out here. We have the bones of a fandom. We do. That was worked on quite a bit earlier in 22. And I think it would be a lot of fun to have a fandom where the community can also contribute in keeping track of some of the items, the lore, the NPCs, all the different little bits and pieces to the campaigns and the side series. I think that would be a lot of fun. A chance for you guys to contribute to keeping track of everything and having a grand old time. It would also be a place where people can go and learn about things if they'd like to. Furthermore, Drew and I have been having meetings and talking about what it would be like to release music as the Paper Dungeon music via music platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, stuff like that, YouTube. It would also be a separate channel, and it would be a place where we could post finished projects that you see on the show, or maybe down the road some goodies that isn't particular to the show, but maybe like a song that would represent an NPC or a character or something like that down the road.
Character lo-fi.
And Grant,
Yeah.
can I insert a thing before we move on?
I was
from that,
actually
too?
going to ask if you'd like to say anything about it.
Yeah. So, like you said, Grant and I have been meeting separately just to try and flesh out what we want to do with that, what it's going to look like, and there's still a lot of work that needs to be put towards that. Kind of like structurally what that will look like, and how that works, as an entity of the Paper Dungeon, even. But yeah, super exciting. Like, and things you can kind of look forward to that is, looking at fully, remastered and mastered finished products of like all of our animated and recorded intros, starting from the very beginning. First intro that we did at the very beginning of the campaign, for campaign 1, along with music that we use for the show. Nice polished versions of those that you guys
including
will
side
also
series.
have access to. And
Use them in your home games.
yeah, so
Home
stuff that
games,
you
absolutely.
guys could use in your own personal, when you guys meet in your own parents' basement, huddled around a single card table, barely able to fit 7 people.
Ca- Can we expect a remastered full version of Edward's T song?
T song. I
uh,
saw that in
yeah,
the. I will say that there is we have other projects like push in front of things like that.
so
However,
many projects.
it would be a lot of fun, I think, to record and release like songs that we have
Yeah,
done
yeah.
on the stream, or even like things that were hinted at, like Tarak and Edward's Sea Shanty.
Yeah, the sea
Mhm.
shanty.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like, I think there could be a lot of fun things in the future. For now, though, we're just going to be focusing on getting like different intros we've done, and some of the background tracks, just really polishing them, getting them out there so you guys can use them, and then also like Between the Rows, Camp Cryptid, other things that have had specific music. We could just throw it on there, have a great time. So
Mhm.
we're still working out the kinks, but that's very exciting. Moving along, this is the last thing that I'd like to do. Don't know if it'll happen. Maybe not this year, maybe not ever. But in my heart, it's possible. And that is a Minecraft server.
Yeah.
We have been talking about this since like early TPD.
Like before we even started the show.
Before it is possible, is what I will say. I know that confidently it is possible. There is a lot of work that goes into getting a nice, playable, viewer-based Minecraft server. But that would be so much fun where you guys could, I'm seeing the chat is excited about it. The idea is that we'd have a spawn. Maybe we'd use the keep, as some sort of location. And theoretically, you guys could build in the quote unquote canonical world in Ecomuris or whatever and do all of your fun stuff. So it's a fun idea, but we'll see if that ever actually happens that way. And maybe it'll happen this year. Maybe not. That's pretty much all the stuff. Anything you guys can think of that you'd like to add? Anything you're thinking about? We'll talk about what we're all doing, like in our personal lives.
personal
Because I know
stuff.
we all personally have plans. We'll talk about that near the end of the stream. But anything else relating to TPD that you guys can think of that I might have missed?
Oh, geez.
We're good?
I don't have anything off the top of my head.
Perfect. We did it. There is more. Real quick, I want to address, before we get into audience questions, I want to address the new Wizards of the Coast Dungeons and Dragons OGL. Just because it's relevant right now, and I think it's worth talking about real quick. As far as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, people. As far as I understand it, Dungeons and Dragons, the title, what would that be called? Like the
Wizards of the Coast, the people who own Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Yes, they have essentially talked about changing the rules around the fair usage of D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, in things that produce income. So this could mean a drastic change for creators that use Dungeons and Dragons in their content. For ever since D&D has been a thing, it's been free to play. People can play it. People can play it on shows where they make money, stuff like that. But they are talking about a lot of nuance in, like, past a certain threshold of money is made, royalties will be owed. D&D or Dungeons and Dragons Wizards of the Coast can use Dungeons and Dragons material produced by other people without their permission, theoretically, because they're using their domain. There's a lot of different things like that involved. Currently, Wizards of the Coast has talked about backing up some of their claims. There isn't a lot that is set in stone yet. However, and so that might not entirely affect us as small as we are right now. It's possible that we'll be doing different TTRPGs and like doing more variety later on. Things like Patreon, we might not have D&D on there since it's income based. However, for now, it shouldn't change what's happening so far, and we'll keep you guys updated. I'm assuming, Aaron, you would have something that you'd like to add to that.
Yeah, just to clarify some things, as Grant said, we will be finishing off campaign 1 using Dungeons and Dragons. We will not change anything about how we have been doing. Honestly, the OGL changes, if they go through and in what way that they change, really shouldn't affect us in almost any regard. Um, the real problem lies in the ethics of the situation, where as a company and as a business and as people who, I know personally people who are like vehemently affected by the OGL changes, and they are people that I care about and really enjoy talking to, and I've been so excited for them to gravitate towards being able to live off of what they do, and now that is being greatly threatened. um, as for whether or not or to what extent we will continue using Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, it is really up in the air. um, Today actually they released some new revisions and took a lot of good steps, but have right now there's just been a lot of trust broken, um, which is the biggest part, where it's like, even if you do these things now, you've threatened the livelihood and existence of a lot of different creators, and so that's going to take a lot of effort. Trust is hard to make but easy to break. um, and so I'm there's a definite chance that campaign 2 may not be run in the Dungeons and Dragons system. I've already actually reached out to a couple of people about playtesting other RPGs to see whether or not I can find one that I really like. I think that it's really ingestible. It's a good like next step, or I don't want to say replacement because they would be two different things, but a good substitute for Dungeons and Dragons going forwards. In terms of Patreon content, there's a good chance that a lot of our Patreon content will shift towards being non D&D RPGs, because out of the things, oh yeah, I'm pumped. I'm sad, but I'm also absolutely jazzed because I love other RPGs. I love experimenting with them and playing them with them. Since Patreon is locked behind a paywall, that is the one that would be affected the most by the OGL changes. And in general, it would just be really sad for us, even on the lowest possible chance that they do decide to use the things that we've made here for fifth edition or for Dungeons and Dragons without us asking. It would be devastating. Like if I woke up one day and saw that Wizards of the Coast was releasing a new guide to the orcs, and it was very clearly based on the stuff that we used here on the Paper Dungeon, I would be devastated. I put my heart and soul into how the orcs function and who Tarak was and how their culture works and how they all fit in the world. That would be really sad. And so there's a good chance that we'll lean away from a lot of Dungeons and Dragons in the future.
As of now,
yeah,
that's kind of our feelings towards it. Not a lot is in concrete. We have as a cast still have to really decide conclusively what we think about it, what we're gonna do. So if there's anything worth announcing in the future, we'll absolutely stay transparent with you guys. But I thought that was worth talking about because it's
for the foreseeable
right
future. We'll be staying with 5th edition. Hopefully they make some really, really good steps in the right direction and turn themselves around, because I'm waiting for it. I'm willing to see it happen. I super hope that it does.
Fingers crossed. Moving on from there, we are going to do our last little bit here, which is the audience's questions. We've already run a little longer than anticipated, so we're going to go ahead and fly through these. We have 3 questions, real quick, that we're going to zoom through. The first one is from Mama Bear, and that question is for everybody. If you could go back and change one major decision your character made, what would it be and why? It's a big question.
I'm so sorry.
We'll try to speed run this.
I'm gonna interrupt you right now. I'm so sorry.
Oh, go for it.
Okay. A big thank you to Quincy who donated $250 to the channel.
Yeah.
Whoa, just now? I totally missed that. Thank you so much,
Quincy. Super thank you to him. He said a start to the shared for Convergence and or Gen Con.
Woo!
Wow. Thank you so
So,
much. We'll,
thank
we
you.
will
We're
absolutely
getting
put that aside for
there.
that.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much,
Quincy.
Thank you,
We
Quincy.
really appreciate
is
that.
so
That's
kind.
so kind of
That's
you.
depending on
gosh,
when we
I get-
buy those tickets.
Guys, get them right now. We can get them for cheap.
Yep, buy them now. Oh, didn't hear you muted. By the way, you have your finger up.
I know, but we got to talk about some stuff after stream with Quincy stuff. I've been
Oh,
in
yes.
communication.
Okay.
Gotcha. Sorry, I thought you were
actually-
ready to interject now.
Yep.
Slow
Okay, great.
down.
Okay, so
We're
I'm
summoning
so
the
sorry,
cat.
Grant. Can you repeat the
Oh,
question?
thank you. I'm so glad you did. Thank you again, Quincy. That is awesome. And thank you for the gifted sub to Quincy's Tavern from Hans. 128 gift subs to the channel.
Hans
That
has
is
given
a lot. Thank you so
120.
much.
Jesus,
That is
Hans.
a lot. That is a
Yeah,
lot.
Handskate, shout out to you. You're pretty great.
So from Mama Bear, if you could go back and change one major decision your character made, what would it be and why? We can go ahead and try to do this quickly.
I have one quick question before anyone does anything.
It's a big question.
Is
Yeah, go
this
for it.
specifically on stream or like in
Can-
relation to backstory?
I have a request. I
could be
want these
backstory,
to
I
be
think.
like rapid fire.
Yeah.
Okay, I think Lydia's got to get somewhere. So we'll go
I'm-
fast. We'll go fast.
I've got work in the morning.
Got
Yes.
work in the morning. We'll go quick. So I'll start with Edward. I think currently he seriously regrets like not spending as much time with his mother over the past 3 years. I think that is what weighs on him the most. And if he could go back, he would probably spend more time with her. I think that's his biggest thing. Popcorn. Drew.
Oh.
Sorry. Do you have an answer?
I suppose. Oh, geez. I'm sorry. I'm just figuring out. I know what my answer is. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to word it. So, I think, like, him breaking his oath is a thing that he would want to change, but more so, like, change how he resolved his issues with that whole situation. Just going about
Like not breaking his oath?
Well, I mean, yeah, like he potentially might have broken his oath still, but more so taking more time to figure out what he would want and if breaking his oath is the best decision or not.
Gotcha. Go ahead and popcorn someone.
Lydia.
Not getting in communication with Grot sooner.
Nice. And last but not least,
I
Abinthy
guess
would
it could
choose.
be Track or Abinthy, yeah.
No, Abinthy. I'm going with Abinthy. Track has no
Okay.
regrets. He's only been alive for 4 years.
No regrets.
Abinthy would choose go back in time and prevent Talanash's death. Done.
There you go.
Boom. Next, from Hans. For the cast, what is your favorite DM moment?
DM
Ooh.
moment. Anytime
I think
DJ
Nijay.
roleplays pockets.
That's true.
Flirting
I
with DJ as Glacia.
Absolutely. Whenever his knees are in frame is my favorite part.
Nijay is an icon.
Nijay,
Yes.
yeah.
I would have
Slow
to
and
agree.
steady.
I'd have to agree with pockets. Role playing as
Pockets?
pockets.
Pockets
Oh,
is
and
great.
Malice. Malice.
I think
Yes.
anytime he's playing a cute NPC, like
That's
Polio, or Polio,
Mary.
Pockets,
Polio.
Malice,
Yeah.
The
Ginger.
next one is from
my girlfriend.
The next one is from the Anchored Anki, a podcast listener. What's one moment with your character you'll never forget?
Ooh. First divine
It's not
smite.
meant to be ominous. I just said it. Your first divine smite.
Killing Cather.
Fair. Fair. How about you, Abin Thick?
As Tarak, it would be killing the orcs. As Abinthy, it would be this last episode.
The whole episode.
Yeah, the whole thing, like revealing his relationship with Talanasha and like the jabs towards like the whole rest of the party. Like that was so underhanded.
Yeah.
And then like the apology and the backstory, like that would be it. That's like my favorite monologue of all time. So
As Edward, I'd say probably when he said to his father that he is going to fulfill the name of Fellows and make it good instead of bad, like his father did. That's pretty big. There you have it. There you have it. Those are the 3 audience questions. Now, we will go ahead and ask, where can people find you? Thanks for being here on the filing cabinet tonight as my guests. Screw you, DJ. Just kidding.
Yeah, get
I
out
love
of
you.
here.
Wow.
I wish you could have been here. But where can people find you? We're all doing our own personal work, and that is really getting kicked off this year. So let's go around and just say real quick where they can find you, what you're doing. Lydia, go ahead and go first. Yeah, you can go first.
I'm Lydia Corinne, Koryn. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch. Those are the main ones I'm on, but you can find me on pretty much all social media at Lydia Corinne. Those are just the ones I'm most active on. You can also catch me next week on Queers and Spears. I'm guesting for the second time, and as they're wrapping up their story, they're hilarious. And then also stay on the lookout for Misty Mountain Legends because I will be playing Zoe, a living cloud, in a game of Teens in Space that they are going to be releasing soon. So definitely go check them out as
I've been
well.
waiting for that one.
I have
Nice.
too. I'm pumped.
I dropped links in chat to Lydia's YouTube, Lydia's Twitch, and Lydia's TikTok. Next, we'll go ahead and go with Drew. I mean, go ahead and share what you're thinking
Yeah,
of.
what do
in
you
your-
what do you have going on right now, man?
Sure, yeah.
Even though it's not
Um,
quite in the same space.
It's not.
still
Oh,
interesting.
so I'm not nearly as active on social media as Lydia is. In fact, it's a whole 0%, really. The most interaction is this channel and the Discord. But something I'm trying to kick off for myself personally is being able to help make music for other people around the world and online. That is still a work in progress for me, and when things develop more so for myself, you can check out the Discord to see any sort of self-promo announcements. But keep an eye out for that kind of stuff. And if you know people, please send them to me because I need
Yeah.
clients.
And you specifically, you mix music? Like
Yes,
you,
so
you do
yes,
mixing and stuff?
Yeah, so if the main avenue that I would be able to help people would be people who have already recorded tracks for a song or several songs. I can then take those, put them together, and make them into a more finished product. So
Amazing.
if you have those
Beautiful.
kind of projects, even if it's rare, if you have those kind of projects or know people who have those kind of projects, let me know.
Let's go.
I'll follow
and
up.
thank you for Hans with the gifted decay Shep.
I was just
Thank
gonna
you
say.
again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you, Handskate.
Yeah. What do you got going on? I know you got plans.
Yeah, I'm
Mr.
undergoing
Easy's mom.
kind of a personal rebrand across a lot of things. So, in the soon future, in the very, very concurrent progression of time, you can find me across pretty much all platforms under @Bander_Bowl, BOHL, Bander Bowl. I'm going to be starting a solo Twitch stream. I'm thinking that there's a possibility that it starts up late February, if not early March. There's a chance that I even hit mid-February, depending on how all of the stuff goes that I need to actually acquire things. And I'm going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff. It's going to be a variety channel where I play TTRPGs. I play retro games. I'm planning on playing through the Metal Gear Solid series on Sundays.
Oh, that's so cool.
And a bunch of other stuff. And I'll be updating my my online presence as a whole to be Vanderbolt. So if you're really confused as to who this person is in the Discord that's messaging under the name Vanderbolt, it's me. I just changed
Very
it.
cool.
So
Very cool.
it'll be me.
I am named Philo Grant on Twitch, PHILO Grant, and YouTube. I stream every single Wednesday. I stream Minecraft. And most weekends I will be doing variety. I do variety streams, whether it be Apex, Fortnite, a lot of guests, who knows, Stardew Valley, a lot of fun things. Horror games, maybe. So if you like games and you like some laughs and gaffs, go ahead and check that out. I dropped those links. And I dropped your link to Twitch, Aaron, for anybody
Well,
who'd
thank you.
like
it
to follow
has
you.
nothing there. I
That
made
is
it
okay.
literally
We're getting
yesterday.
So yeah, that is everything for today. I'll go ahead and ask if you would like to see any particular kinds of content that you'd like to enjoy from the Paper Dungeon, or if there are any helpful changes in mind that could be made to Patreon or Discord or the show, or whatever theories you have for Campaign 2, please either comment below this video if you're on YouTube, or use hashtag the Paper Dungeon on any platforms, or share in the Discord. That'd be great. Subscribe. if you watch this and you liked it, and you're not check if you're subscribed right now. Like it, comment on it, share it. Help us out in that way. I'd like to thank our Patreoneers: Jesse, Maz, Maike, Kennedy, Skyros, Hans, T, and Wander for supporting the Patreon.
That does deserve applause.
It really does.
You
really
lasted
helps.
through the wasteland
That's
of content.
so many
You
more
guys-
people than I thought.
Yeah, I thought that
I know,
there was
and
like
it's
two.
me and my brother, I think, on there, and DJ. DJ is also a Patreoneer.
Shout out to you three.
Yeah, and if you'd like to join the Patreoneers, it's $3 a month. And you get
Yeah.
a bunch of cool background stuff, and you get to help us out. So please check out our Patreon. If you are on another platform that's not Twitch, it would help if you dropped a follow on Twitch. If you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe for free, which helps us out financially. It's free to you, and you get some perks. So go ahead and check out the Twitch or the YouTube or the podcast if you're not on those platforms. And thanks, of course, to everybody watching and listening. Here's to another great year. And of course, to leave it out, as I am the one that gets to say it, I'm gonna say it, guys. Good luck and Godspeed. See you next time, Dungeoneers.
Woo, shout out to my free followers on Twitch that I gained right now.